Hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies, the Vampire the Masquerade V5 tabletop and horror podcast. Now, normally we have conversations before this, but we got a lot to do today. So
We do.
You startled me a little bit.
That's why I'm joined by
I'm John!
and the one cracking the can.
This is Sarah. Let's go. Brujah Christmas. Brujah Christmas.
Deck the halls.
She just
literally decked the halls.
She just chugged like half a monster. It was
I
wild.
did. Yeah. It's the dumb bitch juice, too.
Let's go.
I've tamped this brain down.
Perfect for those Brujah.
Yes! They're either smart or dumb as hell. Sometimes both.
Sometimes a little
Are you
bit
ever
of
a
both.
smart, dumb motherfucker?
All the time.
Yeah.
Many
Playing
times.
Brujah. So, for those of you who are not aware, we are doing a series of clan deep dives from Vampire the Masquerade. Woohoo! We are wrapping up our series on the core V5 core book clans that we have allowed our patron. Used to be we let the general audience do a blood sports poll, but then Elon Musk fucked it up, so now it's a patron poll thing.
That bastard.
I know.
Taking away our blood sports.
I know.
That's all I want.
I know. It was a fun little community thing while we had it, but now we have a slightly smaller community that's still a fun thing. The blood sports is now behind closed doors. Sorry, everyone.
So that is a patron thing now, but we also changed the rules up. That's why La Sombra got in early, and the Bana Hakim are moving into the second group.
Yep.
But mostly they got moved in the second group because there's a lot of history that's not their history that kind of needs covered alongside them.
Yeah. So to wrap up the core book clans, we got Brujah. Patrons at this point had voted for the bonus episode. Thank you for that information.
Yeah.
We will have the poll. Is the poll for the next batch of clans going on this episode or the previous one?
We can do it on this one.
Hell yeah.
And we'll announce it on the bonus episode.
Poll is open, meow, for picking the next clan episode, and it's got all sorts of fun wackadoo.
You should probably get to it.
You should probably get to it, even if you just donate like $5 to the patron to help things. What's the poll tier? $10?
I think it's
$10. $10 is
yeah.
the clan poll.
$10.
And you
Tell
get
us which one you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
and you get the bonus episodes.
And you get
too.
the bonus episodes and extra show notes and goodies. We got some Crimbo,
Rimbo?
Mary Chrysler goodies coming for the patron for December, as well as our yearly donating our December Patreon money to a charity.
No.
For this year, we've agreed to do Doctors Without Borders.
Yeah.
So if you want to support the show and also give money to a good cause, this month is a great month to do that.
Yeah.
I would suggest this month.
Hell yeah. What better time to start than right? Meow. So, for...
I won't even ring a bell at you for that charity money.
Hell no.
Or I'll ring a bell if that's what you want.
Yeah.
Let us know if you want a video of John ringing a bell.
He'll be there
God
with
damn
bells
it.
on.
He will be there with... I can sew little bells on... We use safety pins and clip little bells to you, because it's more punk rock if it's safety pins. Oh, he looks so grumpy.
I don't like it, which is perfect for this episode.
So...
I'm not sure why I don't like it, but I don't.
You love being jangly, though.
That's true.
That's true. So, first episode was Vibes, Clan Culture, Disciplines, Banes, all that goody stuff. Previous episode, go check it out. This episode is generally accepted clan history, some major NPCs, and lore sheets. And then the bonus episode is, coming.
Yep.
The poll is running. The way we record this, we will know by the time this episode is out. But we do not know by the time we are recording this episode.
Future Hunter will just insert that track.
I'm gonna unaudio balanced my voice here. Organizing anarchy.
Perfect. So, content warning for this episode. We're going to talk about war, demonology and religious talk, sacrifice, infant death, animal death, and burial practices.
That could have been lumped under religious talk.
Well, I wanted to be slightly more specific, because some
I was
people
mostly joking.
might have Bible trauma.
Bill,
And that's valid, because the Bible is traumatic.
there's a lot of shit in there that's kind of intense.
It's super... It is such a fucking... If you take away all of the weight of it being a faith and you just read it as, like, a novel, it's a little dense, but it's some of the most metal, wild, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anywho.
If you want to listen to a cool, weird art album, there's an album by the band The Residents.
Mm-hmm.
And it's specifically, every song is a different wild as fuck story from the Bible. It's called Wormwood. It's
Oh,
curious
shit.
stories from the Bible. There's a live show that goes on to it with like full costumes and stuff, and it's just all the weirdest shit they could find in the Bible, and they wrote a song about each story. And you watch it, and as someone who grew up in the church, I was like, I don't remember hearing this one. I don't remember hearing this one.
We skipped over a lot of this shit. Which, by the way, guys, some of that shit that gets skipped over in church or temple or the mosque, I did have to read for this episode. Yes, I actually read the Bible for this fucking episode.
I'm surprised you didn't burst into fire.
You see, to do that would require me having a soul, and I am ginger, and if we're going to continue the joke about the anti-Semitic trope about gingers not having souls, that's what happened. So... sources for this episode. Holy shit, strap in. I'm not gonna read all the sources from the first episode again.
Why not?
Cause,
Bet you won't.
V5 core book. V5 Player's Guide. V5 Anarch. VTM 20th Anniversary Core Book. Clan Book Brujah. Clan Book Revised. Veil of Night. Kindred of the Ebony Kingdom. ST's Handbook to the Spot. Lore of the Bloodlines. Sturdy Secrets of the Black Hand. Gehenna. Black Hand. Guide to the Talmai Ra. Chaining the Beast. That's where I started, and then for continuing this episode, I have also read Road of Humanity, Chicago by Night, Second Ed from previous editions, the Euryses Fragments, Brujah Clan Novel Trilogy. That's 3 books, motherfucker.
You didn't read the whole trilogy, did you? Or did you reference them, or did you read the whole novels?
Read most of it. I sped read it. That's why I'm not counting it as reading. I sped read that shit, so like... Libelous Inguius 2, the Bali Clan book, Lord of the Clans, Beckett's Jihad Diary, Chicago by Night V5 edition, Knights of Prophecy, Guide to the Anarchs, Zemiti Clan book revised, Transylvania Chronicles. I did not read all of that. I only read most of the second book.
I was gonna say that's like
and skimmed the rest of it.
That's 3 more books.
Yeah. Guide to the Sabbat, Guide to the Camarilla, Los Angeles by Night from previous editions, the Anarch Cookbook, V5 Camarilla, LA by Night series. I rewatched part of that. I did not get to play VTM Blood Hunt, but there's lore in that. That is canon, so I went through the Wikipedia for that. I also read a big chunk of the Encyclopedia Britannica, and there's 4 academic papers and 2 documentaries I watched for this, which are not listed here. I'm gonna give that shit to the patrons as a bonus.
Damn.
I like that all I had to say was bet you won't. And then we just got 5 minutes of content.
I told you guys, I am a Brujah main. It is a problem.
Oh, I understand. I'm excited to see how John handled it, because we did Malkavians, and I was like, I have 2 ideas for bonus episodes that I'm doing just to make sure we follow up. So I'm wondering how John's going to handle when you guys vote for Zemits.
Don't mention it right now.
Oh, yeah, no. When the Zemits comes up, like, John, we're going to have to corral you and put you in a little room to, like, help with...
Just scream.
Just scream. One, screaming.
I know my favorite clan is incredibly problematic.
Oh, no, it's not even the problematics. It's just that is a very lore-dense clan.
Yeah.
Much like the Brujah, so we're getting into it.
Maybe we can force him to stat the flesh tank. The Nazi flesh tank.
Oh, no.
We'll get to that later.
I specifically want to pick your brain on fixes for Zemiti for V5 that you would want, because you've had some strong opinions.
Oh, yeah.
You guys can vote for that, and we'll figure it out. Anyways.
I feel the same way about Ravnos, so...
We are also doing that.
Yes.
That will be the bonus episodes for both of those, is the lads fix the clans.
Oh, no.
But we don't have time for that right now. What we do have time for is the founder of the Brujah. Which is...
Is his name Brujah?
Okay, that's very... All of this is very convoluted and annoying, so I apologize. I tried to streamline this as best I could. So there is, he is referred to as Brujah the Learned, or Troil the Elder, or Elias. Or none of those are correct, and people just refer to them as Brujah, because that's just, we've lost a historical record of what their actual name is, and we just kind of stick something there. Those are the 4 options. Who the fuck knows?
Oh, there's also Troil the Rebel here.
No, that's their childer.
Oh, okay.
There's a verses there.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So they named them after themselves?
Or
potentially.
We were mentioning old Bible stuff. It could have been Troil the Elder and Troil the Younger.
Yeah,
kind of like
names,
a junior-senior thing.
Yeah, or, just people... It was old times, and there wasn't that many names floating around, so just names got reused, and they're just like, there's old John, young John.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows? It also doesn't help that not only in the canon is a lot of the shit from, 1000 BCE, but because of a lot of current archaeological findings... It has pushed the timeline back of various aspects of human civilization so much further back into the timeline that technically you can take a lot of this really early Vampire the Masquerade lore and chuck it 35,000 years into the past and it still would work.
Right.
So who the fuck knows? Anywho, what we what little bits we have, and I'm trying to take account of every option of the starting of this fucking clan. Jesus Christ.
Well, there's your problem.
This shit is part of the reason I had to read so many books. So, one option of the origins is the original antediluvian for this clan was diablerized by their childer. So, the original Brujah is supposedly a cold man, but like a champion of civility, or a moody malcontent. There's several stories of either of them being just kind of like a Spock, but kind of a dick, or just absolutely a dickhead. Just kind of a grumpy, just like, I don't like people, I'm gonna be a bitch.
Probably both.
Might have been a bit of both, who
It's
knows?
just when he's hungry, he gets angry.
Yeah, so the childer in question is referred to as Troil, and they are constantly described as being very passionate about things, but much like Brujah, whether they were just like passionate and kind of like fun and rebellious, or whether they were also a dickhead, massively up to interpretation, so I'm not gonna delve into that. What I will delve into the fact is it is canonical that Troil is described as a man, a woman, or specifically not having a gender.
That's interesting.
So they might historically be gender fluid. I'm just going to count this as Troil's non-binary and just refer to them as they, them, because there's parts of the lore that are like, this is very decidedly a man, very decidedly a woman, or that ancient thing where there's like, you know, in Judaism where there's like 8 genders and they fall into one of the non-binary categories. So, NB Brujah. Hooray.
I also find it interesting, if you listen to our last episode, that their relationship seems to mirror the closest to structure the Brujah has, where it's just like grumpy, out of touch old people and really passionate young people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's almost like Vampire the Masquerade is a game about cycles of violence.
No.
No. That'd be crazy.
It's about vampires and being sexy and catty with your friends.
That can always be part of it.
It is, no matter what.
I know, it's great. So, there's one story that Troil became afraid of their sire because they would punish or kill them due to Cain Daddy forbidding the 4th generation to exist. So, Cain made 2nd gen made 3rd gen, and then Cain's like, all right, no more.
Mm-hmm.
I forbid any more making.
Because I fucked it up once.
Because, yeah, I fucked it up and I don't trust you guys. And then Brujah's like, I like this one, or this one is useful, whatever reasoning they had for embracing Troil. And then they're just like, oh shit, I feel bad about, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done this, fuck. I should not have done that.
Uh-oh.
The way it's kind of described is, in the text, it's kind of like Brujah, the elder, was so just like out of touch with his own like humanity, and he basically, autism explained poorly the situation to Troil, and Troil's like, oh, you're gonna kill me to solve the problem. And they were like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But they didn't explain that at all. So understandably, Troy was like, I'm gonna get murdered. Fuck, what do I do?
Get out of here.
So what I'm gonna do is kill him. And by eating him and taking their spot.
So they just diabolized their way up to 3rd generation, so they were no longer breaking the law of being a 4th generation.
Yeah, basically. It's kind of tragic, because it's just like, I feel like if Brujah just had like explained to Troil like actually what was going on, would have avoided problems. Maybe. Who knows? Basically it is said...
At the same time, though, those 4th gens...
Yeah. Well...
They're just a problem.
Speaking of that, basically it is said that this act of rebellion and usurpation is what kicked off the destruction and fall of Enoch, the Second City, and the beginning of the cycles of the intergenerational wars between vampires.
So we have another theory on what started that.
Yep.
See, it's not the Toreador, it's this fucking Brujah.
Yeah.
Can't keep their shit together.
I think pretty much every clan so far has posited a different...
Yeah. Every clan is like, I did it, or they did it.
Or it was my idea, but she did it for me.
Yeah, have fun running wild with whatever plot things you think are in your story. It's just, it's all nonsense and ridiculous, but fun to explore. But yeah, this act also is what the true Brujah claim is the reason why they seek to destroy the rest of the clan, because they're just like, this fucking bitch killed our dad, and we don't like that, and then made a bunch of others that are just like them. We should eliminate them.
Eliminate.
Yes. There's also belief that Troil had a temper that had spiraled out of control, and this is now what affects the entire clan, and that their temper about possibly getting killed by their partner / mentor was what spurred them into doing the diablerie, which is weird. There's also a theory that Cain cursed Troil to have the supernatural rage issue after the Enoch battle stuff had settled, and you're just like, oh, so you're gonna be a brat and have a temper? What if I just made that worse forever?
That's fair.
So it's just like, knows? I don't know.
That's a Cain punishment. That one kind of makes sense if that's really what happened.
Yeah, that Cain be like that.
Cain is like, good idea, worst idea ever. Seems to be his track record.
It's like a couple of good ideas and then just like the most dog shit, like, what the fuck?
Who even thinks about that?
Like, you are psychotic. And it can't be any better now because you've been alive for how long? You have to be insane.
He's just speaking to you in languages that have been dead for 50,000 years.
Yeah, and this is, sorry, I forgot where I was.
Yeah.
You're just like, bro, you're driving a cab. You can't just be doing that. That's insane. Bonus points for anyone who gets that joke.
Yes.
There's another theory. Another, which is the antediluvian is Troil.
And then Troil just said there was somebody above him.
Yeah, so
for drama.
Yeah, due to the lack of records from this time period, because shockingly, from 10,000 years ago, BCE, so that's like 12,000 years ago, not a lot of record. And due to what little records there are, there's the gender confusion. Some people have speculated that Brujah decided to fake their own diablerie.
Okay.
And then just like put on another hat and was just like,
fucking hats.
Hats. I know. Oh, the hats come around in this episode. So, yeah, why they decided to do this, I could not find a reason why they're just like, what if I fake my own diablerie and then pretend I'm somebody else but still show up to the vampire meetings and be the head of my own, like, whatever the fuck?
Why?
Which is crazy.
Why?
Why? I don't know. And then others also speculate that Brujah and Troil were always the same person. They just had like two names. It might have been a gendered like boy day, girl day thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that Brujah, quote unquote, dying or being diablerized was true propaganda to like undermine and make the Brujah as a clan look like unstable and unruly and not worthy of being in charge because the clan started based off of the worst crime a vampire can do.
I really like the idea of Troy being like, wait a second, never mind. No. Yeah, he totally got diablerized.
Mm-hmm.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When it's actually just Trolley.
Yeah. Just
like, yeah, they totally got eaten. I gotta go return some videotapes.
Yeah, on that line, which might be what happened, which is Brujah's a Time Lord? So your thing might not be entirely inaccurate. So
he does have to return some videotapes. God damn it.
Of course, according to this thought in the timelines, Brujah's actual name is Ilias and was a distant, calculating man who embraced Troil against the bylaws of Cain because of whatever reason, was just like, this person has a spirit of passion that I don't possess anymore, or they like them to have like somebody to bounce ideas off of. It's left vague. Whatever. After the embrace, over the course of time, they fell in love with them.
Okay.
And then started to share his worry that, I broke the law to make you, and I love you, and I'm autistic, and I can't explain things well. So understandably, Troy's like, well, if I'm not supposed to exist and you're worried about things, I guess you're going to kill me. Oh no. So they attempted to do the diablerie. And then to avoid the diablerie, Brujah samurai jacked himself.
He just launched himself into the future.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, literally samurai jacked himself. Which left Troy just being like, I guess I'm Brujah now. Cool.
I was gonna eat dad lover.
I was gonna eat my boyfriend, dad.
Lover dad?
Lover dad? Ugh.
That sounds gross.
It's super gross. That sounds like a Pornhub search term. Anyways, yeah, so Brujah samurai jacked himself, but because of time, magic, and whatever, what should have taken him only tens of thousands of years, his perception of that was actually hundreds of thousands of years.
Mm.
So he kind of just like processed being mad at his lover for trying to destroy his soul utterly and counting that as a great betrayal. But I'm also like, baby, bro, you should have explained things better, but whatever.
Yeah.
Regardless, once he landed into the timeline again, which was like apparently roughly the Dark Ages, he started to work with Lilith.
Oh, that's never a great idea.
Yeah, it's...
Or the best idea.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. So, are either of these antediluvians alive or dead?
Are they alive or are they dead
now? So, spoiler alert, bad things happen to Troil. After Brujah left, either through diablerie or through time magic.
Or never existed.
Who the fuck knows?
That's the best way to get out of it. Just to never be there to begin with.
I would find it really funny because of just how patriarchal a lot of Ventrue, Toreador, Malkavian, kind of the Camarilla core groups would be, because, Western civilization, they would just be like, well, we don't believe this non-binary weird whatever the fuck could have been actually a founder of a clan, so we're just gonna give it to a man that doesn't exist, because there's no way you did this. Which is very unfortunate, but is very mirroring actual history in a lot of situations, so maybe, who knows? But yeah, so Troil, after Brujah doesn't exist or whatever, travels around Asia Minor, North Africa, was around for Carthage, where they either drink wherever they may have died at Carthage, or they're trapped underneath the salted and ritually locked grounds of the ancient city.
Of which city?
Carthage.
I don't think I remember that.
Ah, damn. Well, so there is some canonical evidence for Troil still being alive but in torpor underneath Carthage, because the clan bane for frenzying became much worse after the fall of Carthage, and many elders in the lore cite that they believe this happened and is continuing to happen because the antediluvian is acting like a transmitter of rage within the bloodline. Because they're so mad about what had happened with the destruction of their city and everything.
And now being trapped under its salted remains.
Yep, and they can't get out.
That'd be kind of shitty.
Yeah, and they're just they're so powerful that their just anger at the situation is still radiating throughout the entire clan to this night. Which I'm like, that's kind of metal.
Damn, I guess Carthage does remember.
They literally can't not. Because their blood makes them angry. So, if you believe the story of Ilias and him samurai jacking, time lording himself into the future, after spending, the 100,000 years, like I said, in time dilation, traveling to the Dark Ages, he lost part of his mind, kind of emotionally worked through the, betrayal situation, and stumbled in one of the Bahari Gardens of Lilith, and he works with her as her herald.
Oh.
He does still wish to destroy his line, but his anger is mostly focused on the true Brujah for daring to suggest that he would have sired more than once. He's like, you think I would have made that mistake more than once? Fuck you.
Love it.
Which is very funny.
Love it.
So, if that's true, that's one option. If it's not true, you don't have to fuck with that.
I like that has their, progenitor being like, no, fuck the true Brujah, alright?
No, it's like, fuck the true Brujah. I don't like my clan because they're all based off of the bloodline of that one bitch who fucked me. Yeah. But I'm more mad at you specifically for suggesting I'm a fucking idiot.
Right, talking shit about me. You think I'm dead? I'm not dead.
Not only am I not dead, I wouldn't make that same mistake twice. You would dare think I'm that stupid?
Boop boop. Yes.
So, major events in the clan. Athens. A lot of Brujah settled around there, worked along with the Toreador, desiring to build a better city after the fall of the second city, and they're just like, okay, that one was a fuck up.
I think it's interesting.
Yes.
That they worked in Athens with the Toreador. Mm-hmm. Considering the whole Helena thing?
Well, that happens after this, but yeah.
I thought that was in Carthage.
Yeah, this is before Carthage. We're in Athens now, pre-Carthage.
Yeah, I fucked it. I fucked my timeline up.
Time is fuckity.
Yeah, we'll get to
with
that.
These assholes.
Thanks, Truha. So yeah, we're in pre-Carthage. We're in the heyday for the... Greece was around for so long, it had a heyday, and then a Dark Ages, and then it came back, and then Rome was like, I made this. So in in the good times, it kind of mirrors along the story shared on the Toreador episode with Archael and Troil working together to make that art piece. What was but humanity is so cool. Yeah. And Cain was like, you're right, humanity is pretty dope.
Here you go.
So, the Toreadors were focusing on, arts and crafts, and the Brujah were more doing, the scholarly thing, and, having some bases, with theater and debate, and blah, 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 blah. All that kind of stuff. Which, the Ventrue and the Lasombra could not stand, because they're from Sparta, and this is bullshit.
Why are you thinking and not stabbing?
Yeah, just...
Though
women do thinking, and that's bullshit. Women are for breeding, and that is it.
I always felt it was kind of weird that the Lasombra, the Ventrue, sure, especially at the time, they were like, we are the conquerors of Cain, the whole thing. Yeah.
That's it, I was in charge.
Yeah. But the Lasombra I've always thought was kind of weird that they were shitty at you guys are thinking over there? What are you thinking over there? Because they're kind of a philosophy-y clan.
It's one of those, a lot of La Sombra politics just goes along with that whole might makes right thing.
Yeah.
And they're just like, I see what you're doing there, but it doesn't matter because power is power.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you can have all these like political blah, 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 blah. But if I stab you...
Where's your argument?
Yeah, you're done.
Yeah. I guess that's fair.
Not only that, but I know we talked about on there, but the La Sombra are always kind of the power behind the throne, secretly in charge ones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, they're kind of known for manipulating the Ventru a lot, or at least trying to.
Mm-hmm.
So
sometimes they succeed.
It could have been a philosophy debate that did not go well, and the La Sombra said, well, we can handle this Ventru. We don't like them.
Yeah.
Like, this is bullshit, and we have swords, and we train to kick ass, so...
Right.
They're trying to take us over.
They're trying to take us over with their ideas and the boy fucking.
The Ventru's like, we can't have any of that!
No bussy.
Grab my boy! Bring him with us!
I know! Ancient times were wild. Fucking Christ. So, much like the Toreador, the Brujah left Greece, seeing this as a failure of the grand experiment. It is said that during this time with the fall of Athens, that a lot of the Brujah diablerized their own elders before leaving, so that nobody could bear witness to their failure.
Wow.
They just went like, well, this was a wash. Time to pick up.
Let's go ahead and eat these guys real quick.
Yeah, lighten the load.
Yeah.
Damn. That also goes along with what I said last episode, where it seems like the Brujah tend to be a lot of younger folks, not a lot of older ones left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no. If you're old Brujah, you earned that.
You either got it figured out, or...
You're lucky.
Mm-hmm. Well, you gotta, like, if the kids think you're cool, they'll let you live.
I feel like Brujah tend to be the one, like, things went bad. Who's the oldest? You were supposed to fix this. Eat.
You were in charge.
Or die.
Yeah.
Eat or die.
So, Carthage.
Hold on. I'm gonna finish this beer.
Finish the beer? Goddamn.
He's just gonna pre-drink the beer so he didn't have to do it every time we say it.
That's fair. I mean, there's more beers downstairs. We can get a beer.
Yeah, I know. A whole 24 break that I'm gonna have to drink through. I just won't shut up about Carthage.
Yeah. So, for those who don't know, Carthage is located in northern Tunisia, between the coast, which is like where the Mediterranean is, and Lake Tunis.
I like that name.
Yeah.
Tunis.
Yeah, it's what the country's named for. But yeah, so it's a big port area. So when you look on the map, there's like this little archipelago outcrop of land, and then there's like the lake immediately. And I spent some time digging around on Google, and it looks really cool. So, neat place to see. This was a major ancient trading hub and center of the Phoenician city-states. If you are somebody who is aware of the Bible, there are also the Canaanites and Phoenicians, and also the Punics. These are all the same people. It's very annoying for research because people interchange all these fucking names, and you're just like, wait, who are we talking about? Oh, it's all the same? Okay. Cool. According to historians, Carthage was originally founded by Queen Dido in 814 BCE.
I'm very sorry, but I was taking a drink as I was reading along with the notes, and for some reason, my eyes and my brain put an L between that I and that D.
Queen Dildo?
Queen Dildo.
Well,
that's wild.
Here's the funny thing about that. So, it is somewhat debated in historical circles if Queen Dido ever actually existed. Most people presume that she did, because her mother is Jezebel. Yes, that Jezebel from the Bible, the one that tried to bring religion to the Hebrews that was not of an Abrahamic God, and they went, no, we don't want that shit.
Ta-ta.
Yeah, that Jezebel is considered historically like that person existed, but there's not like a lot of evidence actually of Dido, so it's kind of weird. Anyway.
Well, we do know that her tea's gone cold and she was asking why.
I have to go.
Amazing. So, according to stories, Dido was fleeing oppression because she was a Phoenician princess and wanted to rule her own place, so she left the area of Tyre, which is current-day Lebanon. So when people talk about like the Levant area, where it's like parts of northern Africa up into what is like Palestine, that's like the Levant. That's what this area is, where the Phoenicians were.
Oh, cool.
So little context of things. So cool. Along with being known for their sea trade, there's evidence of the Phoenicians' invention of flat pack shipbuilding kits. Because that's how they built their boats. They like prefab sections and then would ship those and then slap them together where they needed to.
Yeah. That's cool.
Which is like really fucking cool. So it's ye olde IKEA.
Nice. For votes.
Yeah. They invented the alphabet kind of as we know it. The Greeks had a really shitty, crap, too many letters alphabet, and then the Phoenicians were like, hey, we have these letters that are easier, and the Greeks went, neat.
And then, isn't that why we call it phonics?
Yes.
It's spelled the same but pronounced differently?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where some of that is tied in. And there's evidence that the Phoenicians may have sailed around Africa with their little boats. There is rumors that the Phoenicians may have found the Americas, but I've found no actual, hard evidence of that. So that's just kind of a rumor of, maybe.
It feels like everybody did.
Everybody at some point was just like, what if we just keep going that way? Oh, shit, there's land.
Look at this. Look at this place. There's people here.
Yeah, it's just
people.
Somewhat more impressive because they're so far south that there's not really a lot of little land hoppies between Africa and the Americas. So I'm just like, they rode that and didn't die and came back? Are you shitting me?
I've always wondered, I'm sure the answer is pots, bottles, but fresh water. You can fish. You can get food in the ocean. I guess when you're way out there, it's harder because there's less
surface fish. Yeah.
But you can get food in the ocean. Getting fresh water, from what I understand, is what usually ends up killing people.
Yeah. Well, there's also the scurvy, which I doubt they've figured. I don't think they had that figured out.
Probably not.
There's a lot of annoying things in human history where we figure something out and then forget about it as a species and then find it out again.
Yeah.
Or one group figures it out and then is wiped out, or by another civilization, and the new civilization was like, we don't care about that.
That's bullshit. That's heresy.
You don't need to eat an apple.
What are you talking about, oranges? That is the devil's color.
It's too spicy.
It has flavor. No!
It has flavor and it's vibrant? No. Alright, so, getting back into VTM lore. Many within the clan say that Carthage was an open society, free of the need of the masquerade, where vampires and mortals lived in a kind of harmony. There was still, the hierarchy of, well, I have god powers and you don't, but I have the responsibility to, protect the mortals that I'm in charge of, kind of vibe going on, which is probably one of the better cases scenarios. As far as vampire goes with human and vampire interactions, where it's I like these little homies. They're my food, but
they're pretty cool too.
They're pretty chill. This will be fine.
I feel how far away is that from people who do hobby farming?
Yeah, where people are just I just keep these chickens in my backyard and they're my friends and I take the eggs.
And then, after so many years, when they start getting a little bit old, I go ahead and slaughter them and eat them.
Yeah, which is weird if the chicken could have, feelings and express that to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess chickens can do that. It's weird. Anyways, I'm not going to think about that too hard right now.
Do that?
Yes.
I guess everything can have feelings.
Yeah, it's weird.
Chickens are just so dumb.
So are people sometimes.
Yeah, that's true.
Anywho, so according to first-hand accounts in the lore, so there are some vampires who did exist in Carthage that do exist in the lore, up to V5, which is wild.
They're still hanging out.
Vampires in Carthage were able to learn to control their beast and even pull themselves back up the humanity track within Carthage.
Good spot.
Which is kind of neat.
A place you'd like to hang out.
Yeah. It was said that Carthage was predominantly Brujah with a bunch of Ban Hakim and then a smattering of everybody else, which I'm just that makes sense. I feel like these two should be friends.
They should.
They should be. I feel like
these is how things should be, and I can get behind that and enforce it.
Yeah, it's like a buddy cop thing where they I feel like they need to balance each other out because the Brujah keep the Ban Hakim from being too much of cops, and then the Ban Hakim are just Brujah, stop it. You're being silly.
Why are you
just
yelling about this?
I'm mom friending you. Stop it.
Have you had food today?
So NPCs of note that were in Carthage were Troil, obviously. Critias, yes, that Critias from Chicago by Night. Menelaus, yes, that guy from Chicago by Night. And Al Ashrid. Oh my god, I almost said Al Hazred, and I'm like, no, different man. That's a different man. Al Ashrid, who is active and canonical in V5 within the Ban Hakim.
He's the scary one, isn't he?
No, that's Urshagi.
Urshagi.
Yeah, Al Ashrid is kind of the counterpoint to him within the sorcerers. That's hey, magic is cool. Studying blood sorcery is cool. You're fucking insane.
You need to chill.
So I'm going to gather up all of my sorcerer babies and teach them to kick your ass because holy fuck, you're insane. Yeah, which is a really cool lore sheet thing that's in the new Blood Sigils book if you want to check that out. Anywho, It is widely claimed by those that don't look at the city as in a favorable light that Carthage took part in many terrible rituals.
Oh my!
Who wants to read the little quote?
The prominent religion, as in many... Oh, hold on, I can't really see the thing.
Hold on, start that again.
The prominent religion, as in many Phoenician states, was Baalism. Right? Yeah, Baalism. Which local Canaanites twisted to their own ends. By the time of its fall, the city hosted nightly bloodbaths, sacrifices of children, virgins and slaves, demonic rites, orgies, and all manner of luxurious indulgence. That's from Brujah Revised, page 17.
Yeah, so...
I was reading that as a Toreador, which is why I was kind of like, well, orgies,
I mean, you know...
That's not that bad.
That goes against it being a chill place to live, especially for the human side of things.
Yeah. And some of that also against the vampire side of things, because they're just like, wait, demon rituals, hold up.
Yeah,
Pause.
even they don't like that.
Yeah, so... Big pause. What is Baalism? I spent a lot of time researching this, guys. Oh my god.
I think it's the art of ballin'.
Hell yeah.
Ballin'.
I wish. So Baal is a Phoenician god of fertility, weather, war, and sailors. Was referred to as Lord of the Earth, Lord of the Heavens, and Lord of the Rain and Dew.
Why does Homie have such a bad rap then? Because that seems like some pretty good like spheres to cover.
Yeah, we'll get into that as we're going.
Okay.
So their symbols are the bull, the ram, and lightning. Baal was kind of the analogous of Zeus within the Phoenician societies because he kicked so much ass. He was just like, I'm the top god. And everybody went, okay.
Sounds good, dude.
Sounds good, homie.
You got lightning.
So Baal's lineage, they're either the son of Dagon and Shalash. Yes, that Dagon. Or El and Asherah, which if that is true, that means that Baal's siblings include Shalim and Yahweh. Yes, that Yahweh.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yahweh and Shalem?
Yep, our siblings.
Like grew up in the same house?
Yeah.
Had to share like the fridge?
Yeah.
And the Oreos?
Yep.
What the fuck?
Could you imagine trying to share the Oreos with Shalim?
The Oreos don't even exist. They're nothing. Just give them to me where I can keep them in my warm embrace of emptiness.
It's like, you don't even like joy.
Yeah, which is why you shouldn't have it either. Give it to me.
Yeah, so, Baal was also a word used in ancient Hebrew to mean Lord, but as the Hebrews had more conflicts with the Canaanites, the Hebrews dropped the term Baal for Lord, and the word over time evolved into characters like Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies, and other various demons that appear in the Bible.
That's weird.
Yeah. It's weird how the different religions like solidified into the ways that they were and the way we understand them now. So I'm not a Toretic scholar. I tried to get into that shit, but there was also just a bunch of, I'm gonna say, weird Christian nonsense when I was just trying to get like academic understandings of the basics of this shit. So if you want to look into that, cool, but do understand you're gonna be running into a lot of articles where people are like, is Baalism coming back? And I'm like, no.
Why not?
I mean, it's not. I'm not saying you can't. Yeah, it's people conflating contemporary Satanism and neo-paganism with these like very ancient religions that no one actually practices or even can fully understand because the Phoenician society was so crushed, like the Romans burnt all their libraries, so we barely have any actually original source text, so we don't actually know how they functioned. Yeah, anyways. Hi guys, welcome to my hyperfixation rabbit hole. So, the big thing is, did the Carthaginians actually sacrifice children? Because that is something that a lot of people know about them from, like, history things, is, yeah, it's a place where they sacrificed babies and then Rome burnt it to the ground. And the answer I have is, maybe?
I feel like that's the answer for a lot of stuff.
Yeah!
I will say also, Rome burned a lot of places down.
And then was like, then I built this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. And it's also a common practice, particularly back in ancient times, for when you had competing societies for them to, like, literally demonize each other. So a lot of these accounts may have been salacious in ways that we don't actually have evidence for, and that's kind of where I'm trying to come at with some of this. So I'm not trying to do apologetics for human sacrifice.
Yeah.
It's bad. Don't do
it.
But also, lots of cultures do various forms of sacrifice, human and or otherwise, at various levels all across human history and time and space. So I feel like ostracizing one group in particular for doing the bad thing that all of us have done is weird. But going on,
Yeah.
The main evidence for this is based around these toffets, which are burial grounds with like ceramic jars, and most of these ceramic jars contain cremated animals and infant and young children, as well as like lavish grave goods.
Quick question.
Yes.
You said cremated and children in the same sentence.
Yes, I did.
I would assume that they're just telling that because there's like a small amount of ashes.
Well, when you burn...
you get like bits of bone and whatnot
basically,
that survive.
Yeah, when you burn a body, bone in particular is a material that's really hard to carbonize fully, particularly teeth. Hi guys, I took forensic anthropology.
Okay, you said the teeth and now it's making sense for me. Because like, pardon me, I mean, I guess we have different crematorium style things that are probably more efficient now than back then. So I was like, well, you're getting like little inch long pieces of bone. You're not going to be able to super duper tell. But
yeah, well, like even with modern
makes sense.
Contemporary cremation, even with the higher temperatures and more consistent temperatures that we burn bodies at, you still have teeth and other like bits of bone that will survive. So those remains get pulverized in a special machine and then put into a baggie and given to you.
And you even still get like bits.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Yeah. So getting rid of bodies is hard. It's a pain in the ass.
So if you just have some on your like around, you should probably just go and like let somebody know about that.
Yeah, because it's bad.
Yeah.
Killing people's bad.
Or if you just find one. I'm not saying you're a murderer. I'm just saying if you find one, instead of just being like, I'll just get rid of it.
Yeah. Ancient accounts tell of, in Carthage, there being a statue of a large iron bull-headed god statue that was lit like a furnace where the sacrifices of blood, animals, and children were directly put into the flames. And John is doing devil horns and sounding excited.
Fucking cool.
It's pretty metal.
It's so metal.
Literally, it's iron. And supposedly, according to these accounts, as the decades passed, the statue was upgraded to have like hands and mechanical arms that would lift the sacrifice up into the burning mouth of the bull-headed god and drop the sacrifice into the furnace below in its abdomen.
I feel like that would be hard to pull off now.
I have a new engineering project. Can I use your backyard? It's just an idea that I just got.
Oh my god.
If you're actually going to take the steps to do it.
Okay. Deal.
Yeah. I will be noting that these accounts of ancient Carthage and these rituals are what led to the biblical concept of a Holocaust. And because it's like the destruction by fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it also led to many Old Testament laws against magic, tattoos, idolatry, etc. So a lot of the puritanical ideas that exist within various parts of Abrahamic religions stem from this cultural concept.
Do you think this is where they got the golden bull thing
Literally,
from?
yes.
Yeah? Okay,
literally, yes. Jezebel brought the golden bull into where the Hebrews are to be like, hey, I got this cool god in society. And they were just like, but we have our cool god and society. And then fighting. So yeah, that's where all of the weird satanic panic stuff traces back to this bullshit.
Thanks a lot, dicks.
So, what does the actual archaeological and anthropological evidence say? This is where I read the academic papers, guys. I go to college. So from what scientists have been able to tell, the range of the bodies that they have pulled from these Toffet cremation jars range from prenatal and infant mortality rates that are similar to prenatal and infant mortality rates that we kind of expect for just a general human population, if not maybe slightly pushed above, which might make sense considering it was an ancient society and they didn't have prenatal vitamins.
Yeah, I mean,
or incubators. Yeah. So there's that. What little evidence has been pulled from the teeth of the remains, because it's really hard to get ancient DNA, let alone stuff that survived a cremation, shows children of both sexes. I haven't seen studies that show like the full spread of the gender spread, because some anthropologists believe if the cremated children's remains skew one way or another gender-wise, that might show more ritualistic intent, where it's either female children's in this society wouldn't have been considered as valuable for society, so they'd be more likely to be sacrificed, or the males would be sacrificed more because they're more valuable.
Bringing your best to a sacrifice.
Yeah.
Or you can get rid of it. Okay.
Yeah, but as far as we can tell, it's both. And the gender spread seems to be roughly 50-50, as far as I've been able to find. There's been no obvious cut wounds or butchery marks on any of the bodies, but the cremation rituals themselves also follow ancient ritual practices of whole body cremation for ritual sacrifice. So instead of cutting and bleeding and then butchering the body, they just kind of yeeted the whole thing in. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of a
Which
net.
Makes it, woof.
Yeah, so that makes it kind of a net neutral of like I don't know. Yeah. There's no obvious butchery marks, but also it was not uncommon in various cultures in the Mediterranean area
to just check the fuck.
To just chuck the whole thing in.
Yeah.
So, And the grave goods also indicate value being placed amongst the dead. So it indicates most likely that these children came from wealthier families because it's people that could afford to leave higher quality grave goods with these bodies.
Interesting. So it's like, y'all rich folk, give us your kids.
Potentially.
So it could be that, or in my mind, I'm almost wondering if it was just like a burial rite and less of a sacrificial rite.
Yeah, so that's I've kind of have like 4 hypotheses on what this could actually mean, like in actual real world terms, which is either the cremated remains are just part of natural deaths and the processing them through this bull statue thing might have just been the ritual.
Yeah.
And any like screaming that might have been heard might have been animals chucked in, which sucks and is still not good. But they're not like chucking living people into the fire and then just that spiraled out of hand as like word of mouth propaganda.
You chucked your dead kid in there and then you chucked their favorite cat and dog and cow in there with them to, travel with them to whatever. And then the guy from across the lake was there for some reason for trading, heard all the screaming and was like, they're barbarians.
And it's like they just chucked a rabbit in there, which again is not good.
You probably shouldn't chuck a rabbit in the fire.
But I've heard rabbits screaming and holy shit. That is terrifying.
Specifically if they're still alive, don't throw them in a fire.
Yeah, don't be throwing things into fires like that.
I tried to give a dead rabbit a funeral pyre once.
How'd that go?
Well, the fire didn't get hot enough.
No, shut up.
It was gross.
Oh, okay, so
we buried it.
The second hypothesis, which is not popular but was posited in one of my academic papers, was population control. So wealthier families might sacrifice their children as a way of maintaining their gene pool and maintaining like the wealth within their family, and would have been doing this as part of like a ritualized like cleansing thing where they're like, oh shit, there's too many of us, yeet. I'm not saying it's good, but like,
does that mean at the time that like Dad comes to you and is like, hey son, we're going to the market. Oh cool, let me grab my brothers and sisters. No, it's just you today.
Yeah. That was one hypothesis, but it didn't seem to like, it's not really popular. It's just one academic being like, I don't know why only the rich babies are in here.
I think it's hilarious. That's just proof that you were Dad's least favorite.
Oof. Wrong son died.
In this case, right son. I picked it.
Shit. The other proposition is that these were sacrifices for prosperity and self-travels. Because again, the wealthy are trying to maintain their wealth and power positions. And this is a society that bases their wealth and power based off of trade through the sea. And Baal's a sailor god and god of weather.
Give us good weather, homeboy.
Yeah.
Give us some favorable winds.
Yeah. Yeet. Yeah. I'm sorry I'm making these jokes, but it's the only way I had to read so much anthropological scientific study about dead kids for a week, so I apologize, everybody, but I need these jokes.
I didn't make the reading. I'm still making the jokes.
That's fair.
It's fine, Sarah.
That's fair. And then the other really speculated option is they did do these sacrifices, but they're in response to war and natural disasters, so it's not a, like, we do this all the time thing. It's like they were doing the animal sacrifices normally, and then when big bad things would happen, they're just like, well, fuck, we need a more worthy sacrifice. I guess human life.
Right.
Which, not great, but I can understand why ancient people would think that.
Tons of cultures did this.
Yeah. So
or similar, so like it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's kind of that's kind of where I landed on this, is like, did the Carthaginians actually in history do human sacrifice? Maybe, probably not. And if they did, they probably didn't do it any more salaciously than fucking anybody else did. So, like,
besides their badass bull statue,
which this hasn't been found.
I refuse to accept the fact that doesn't exist.
It might have been found and melted down by the Romans for swords and whatever the fuck other iron goods they would require.
I'm gonna go for that.
But yeah, as far as I was able to find, I couldn't find any archaeological evidence of the statue ever actually existing.
Or somebody with potence just yeeted it into the ocean. Lake.
Right. And it might not have been like a sacrificial statue like that. It like might have been an iron statue and then there was just a fire in front of it.
Please don't ruin my day.
I'm not ruining your day. I'm giving options.
I want the cool bull statue that eats things.
Yes, well because at least in dealing with histories and cultures, dealing with other cultures, every time I have found one group of people is very adamant about how fucking absolutely evil the other group is. 80% of the time, it's not that out of pocket.
Absolutely.
And then the 20% of the time is Nazis. And you're like, it's extraordinarily exactly out of that pocket. Holy shit. So
I don't think these people were Nazis for making these sacrifices. I just think they had really good taste and badass art.
Yeah, like maybe you didn't have to throw like infants into it.
Yeah.
John. Okay, moving on. So, now into the fanciful lore of VTM. Baalism is the religion that the mortals had, and it became corrupted by a cult of vampires that brought us the Baali.
Which is probably where the actual bad shit came from.
Yeah, I tend to not like ascribing human evils to mythological bullshit, and this is one of those where the book kinda does but kinda doesn't, and it's weird.
It seems like it's almost doing the opposite.
It's saying they were good and then the vampires came around and fucked it all up.
Yeah, that's fair. It's just one of those. I just be careful with your language. That's all I'm asking. But also the Baali, the other super edgy fucking thing in Vampire that's kind of fucking annoying and a pain in the ass to have at the table due to problematic players.
Oh, we'll talk to them in the Hakata now?
No, we're talking about them a little bit right now.
Well, I know, but that's where they would come in, right? Are they part?
I don't think they're in V5 yet.
No, technically no.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's
That's probably for the best.
References to things that might be Baali adjacent and things the Sabbat are doing.
And looking at you, Call to the Blood Gods.
Oh, God. Yeah. So it's one of those, you can stick it in there, but I've not flat out seen any specific Baali things. But if you want to, just for funsies, go for it. Warning! Baali have source books that were given to the Black Dog Publishing as opposed to White Wolf.
Because they were too spicy.
Too spicy.
They're one of, I believe, 2 or 3 clans that got the Black Dog book instead of the regular book, just straight up.
And this is back in a time where they didn't give content warnings and things like that. This book gives several content warnings saying that this is like 18 plus material. Yeah. So if you want to look into this on your own, back in the day they tried to warn y'all. So
even the fact that Black Dog existed was pretty much just as a content warning game line, basically.
Yeah, this is a book with a naked lady that has a titty with the nipple specifically painted, kind of a thing with devils and shit. So yeah, it's a lot of 90s and 2000s edgy bullshit, which if you're into and you want to look into, cool. Just getting that surprised out of nowhere is a bit like, what?
Paintings with titties is always nice.
Titties are rad though. Hell yeah. So the Baali are vampires that practice infernalism both as a worship and as their own specialized discipline that gave them hell powers. Yes, literally hell powers, because
why not?
Why the fuck not?
I'm curious, just the way we've talked about with some of the other clans and when they came out as opposed to other World of Darkness game lines. Did Baali come out around the same time as Demon? Was that their way of kind of tying them together?
Kinda, I think. I didn't actually research that timeline for this, but I think so, maybe. I'm not 100%. I do enjoy Doom and the Fallen's lore. I've not actually played it. There's some interesting things in there, but I, as somebody who is a non-theist, has some issues with the meta plot very much purposely canonizing a lot of Christian lore.
Well, it's specifically Vampire, I feel like, does that. Because like other game lines canonize other stuff, but I feel like Vampire, because of the Cain and all that bullshit, is specifically like Christianity's right in Vampire.
Yeah, so you can't edit things to be like, the Bible had an interpretation on that, but that's not how it's working in this game, so do this what you will. But yeah, the Baali literally have hell powers, but since they can also recruit other vampires into their works with thaumaturgical rituals, it can be argued that the Baali were never really a bloodline and they're just a cult.
I would personally run it that way, I think.
Yeah.
You could be like, all right, you're playing. If you really want to Bali right now, just make like a Toreador so they kind of have magic stuff and make them cults.
Do you mean Tremere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tremere, sorry.
Yeah,
How
Tremere.
dare
You could do
you.
Tremere, you could do Bana Hakim, you could do... Well, I mean, there's now
Thin blood.
blood sorcery. You can do that. There's blood sorcery for the Ministry now, more specifically, because of the Blood Sigils book. And the Meetzi also have blood sorcery because of the Caldonic rituals. Anywho.
I read over them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty happy with
Hell yeah! But, yeah, so getting into it. Moloch. Yes, that Moloch. One of the founders of the Bali became a confidant and lover of Troil and was bloodbound to them.
To Troil.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. They had a very toxic, fucked up relationship. There's no real evidence, by the way, that Moloch was actually a real Phoenician Punic deity, by the way. I know that there's Bible accounts that ascribe Moloch as being a Phoenician deity within the Phoenician records that we have. No. But this may be conflating the word mulk, which meant sacrifice. So it might have just been
bad translation.
Bad translation, confusion, and then also like, and a lot of descriptions of Moloch are very similar to Baal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like
a sacrifice to Baal would have been a Moloch or Moloch.
Yeah.
To Baal, and so they hear that word and say, "Oh, they're giving the sacrifice to Moloch."
These goddamn polytheistic weirdos.
Yeah.
We're monotheistic at some point in the timeline.
Eventually, we pick on one. All right.
We pick
Eventually,
one,
we pick one,
and he's the only one. He never had a wife. We're gonna avoid that. That's a whole other rant. Anywho. So, just so people are aware, in real world, Moloch's not really a thing, but in Vampire, it's a guy.
Is Moloch an X-Men?
I think you're right. I don't remember.
There's a lot of X-Men.
There's a lot of X-Men.
Yeah. I want to say they were one of the ones that was like in the sewers that nobody liked. Anyway.
Yeah. You're not
I'm
wrong.
gonna look it
but
up.
Moloch's also described as like a demon throughout demonology, throughout Christian lore, so, also not a real god.
Never really read into the demonology stuff because it goes along with your, like, haven't explored a lot of the Christian esoterica, as we'll call it.
Yeah, I did, but that's because I was like a spooky child and people kept accusing me of things because the Satanic Panic.
And they're like, well, if you're going to say I'm doing this.
I'm like, am I doing these things? I'm going to go look into this. And I went, no, I am not, but this is kind of cool. So I ended up doing those things. It's their fault. But yeah, so Moloch seems to have been influencing Troil in kind, but that was not a mutual blood bond from what I could tell in the records, but it might have been. But over the course of the relationship with Moloch, Troil became more brutal and would do more like draining enemies to death and just killing people, embracing child or just eat them, and all around just being a dick.
I think that if you are using the words embracing childer and just to sequentially, you're doing something wrong.
Something wrong. Especially if the response is diablerie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Embracing people just to have a snack.
Problem.
Fucked up. Super fucked up. So, yeah, Moloch, not a good person.
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Toxic boyfriend. So, Third Punic War.
That happened.
It did. It happened in 146 to 149. It was like a 3-year thing. So Third Punic War was Rome's third attempt at trying to take down the Phoenicians. Because they're just like, we don't like you having all the sea trade. Sea trade's our thing. And then the Punics were just like, get fucked. It's like Hannibal's like, I'm bringing elephants over the mountains. Fuck you. That kind of shit.
What are you going to do about that?
Yeah, eat ass. And then the Romans were like, I don't like it. And they actually would have senators that at the end of every speech they were giving, regardless of what the fucking speech was actually about, the end of the speech would be like, and we need to burn Carthage to the ground.
Okay.
And they did this for ages. And eventually they figured it out on the third attempt. So, in the lore, Rome came to Carthage with the Ventru, the Malkavians, and the Toreador to be like, no, fuck this shit. They're doing devil work and worships, and also, we don't like that they're trying to be in charge. Fuck this.
Yeah.
So, gotta kick their ass. So, the battle ended with the city being starved, sacked, burned, the ground salted, and its people sold into slavery, and then the city was built over as a Roman port.
Oof.
That is actually what happened in the historical record.
Oof.
From
Why salted? I mean, I know that will stop, crops and whatnot, but if you're planning on just building over...
You can unsalt earth. It takes a while, but you can do it. The tactical reason for doing that is to prevent the local populace from being able to be self-sustaining, so that way when you are an invading force, you can force them to be reliant on you for food.
Oh, yeah, we've brought the food to you. Okay,
yes.
Yeah.
So it's just a further, like, crushing thing.
No, for sure.
Which Rome is want to do. All the time.
I'll say they were pretty good at it.
Rome be crushing. Yeah. But yeah, so from accounts...
Unfortunately.
From accounts that we could find, the population of Carthage at the start of the conflict was roughly 250,000, and by the end of the conflict was reduced to 50,000 people at the final surrender.
Oof.
So over the course of 3 years, roughly 200,000 people.
Okay, I don't mean to be grim.
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing without those bodies?
Whatever they can.
All right.
Yeah. A lot of them probably got burned because Rome burnt the city to the ground, which is it's a lot because there's a lot of accounts of Carthage having apartment buildings up to 6 stories at that time. Wild. And having a lot of really impressive infrastructure and their own theaters and all sorts of shit. So, yeah, just raised it. Yeah. Just nope. And then picked up all those old bricks and then built their own Roman versions of everything.
Wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of Roman structures you can see with old, Phoenician, like, carvings still in them at the ancient site. It's crazy. Yeah. Like, it's one of those, like, oh. Yeah, so I'm not trying to wash over the human tolls of what actually happened here, because this sucks. This is not a good... This is a lot. This is not a good thing to be doing, and unfortunately is mirroring some issues that we're witnessing in our contemporary times, and it's bad. It's always bad. Don't be doing that.
Don't kill your neighbors.
And don't be supporting people that are doing that, please. Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, during the battle, Menelaus was in the city, and in an attempt to save the city, he traveled south towards, like, the Sahara Desert to seek help from Nosferatu and Gangrel that lived in the area. Unfortunately, he was unsuccessful in getting back in time to save the city and people.
Yeah.
Big chunk of the reason why he's upset he's spaghetti.
Yeah. Maybe if he hadn't left.
That's something he does beat himself up about.
Good.
Yeah, so...
I mean, sorry.
I was gonna say, damn. Damn.
I've been playing a Toreador too long.
I know, I'm just like, fuck. It's like, man, he was just trying to get reinforcements. It's like, the fuck. And also, another note for the Third Punic War is Carthage had just finished up 2 other wars right before the Romans showed up. So it's one of those, like, if Rome had tried to do this third attempt without the context of Carthage having just gotten over 2 wars with, I believe... It might have been Hebrews. I don't remember. I'm spacing on who they got into war with right before the Third Punic War. Ancient battle nerds can yell at me. That's fine. But if their resources weren't so thinned out due to those previous conflicts, they probably would have been able to withstand that fight. But you know, wild. Yeah, it's almost like tactics are bastards.
Yeah.
So during the sacking and burning of the city, Troil and Moloch fought to defend the city side by side, trying to teamwork. Toxic lovers.
Good job, guys.
Supposedly the pair held each other and merged into the earth as a final act of defiance or survival. It's kind of left up in the air during all of that. It is believed that the Toreador Helena had sold out the tactical defenses of the city to the Romans for her own safety.
Whoops.
There's also some evidence that one of Troil's childer, Etheria, may have also done the same thing. So there's probably like multiple people slipping information because they're just like, look, I see how this battle's going and I would like to not die. So, Hail Caesar. So
give unto him what is his, I guess.
I guess, like, I can put on a toga.
I'd look great in a toga.
God damn it. So, while the Roman coalition claimed that they salted and tilled the soil to prevent any vampires that had sunk into the ground from rising back up, and also prevented the mortals from being able to feed themselves, there is rumored to be a site within the fallen city that has a lot of extra effort put into it.
Huh.
And it is believed that within this area is a great brazier that is hidden within a temple that is ritually sealed, but it still ekes out this kind of unworldly, kind of evil energy.
Cool.
That supposedly, on occasion, a strange vampire will emerge from this unholy pit with dark powers.
Cool.
And just do all sorts of fucked up shit where it's just like Unchained Cuckoo Bananas Bali will just spawn at this place.
Fuck.
And then just meander, causing chaos.
Do their thing.
Yeah.
And then just go back to sleep? Or do they just stay up?
There's up.
So this place just spawns vampires?
Supposedly.
It's like a spawn point?
Supposedly.
What?
If it exists. I just thought that was a really metal note of just like, oh.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, it's really metal and cool. Part of me is just also like, I tend to like stories where things are a little bit more complicated and not as clear cut. So just the idea of like, yes, the Brujah and the Banu Hakim in Carthage were absolutely doing demon stuff. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, that's kind of boring. I don't like that. I'm not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying that stuff could not have happened, or could happen in your storyline, or it's like there was the general everything was cool, and then there was like secret cults, because ancient times, lots of fucking cults.
Oh yeah.
Today, lots of fucking
math
cults.
was invented by a cult, basically.
Yeah. Thanks, Pythagoras, with your weird bean cult.
Hey-o, beans.
Beans. So
if we get a M5, we'll talk about it.
We get an M5. We'll see. So, those Brujah and Banu Hakim that lived within Carthage is basically scattered to the winds. Menelaus was very upset as spaghetti about his favorite city place all of the work and effort and all of the slaughter of everything. Understandably upset. He believed that it was Helena that had ultimately sold out the city for her own benefits. So he hunted her down for her betrayal to Pompey, which... in the lore, he was so pissed, Menelaus actually broke his 1,000-year not frenzying streak specifically to fight her.
Holy shit.
And this unleashing of his frenzy set off Mount Vesuvius and wiped out Pompeii and the surrounding cities.
Holy shit.
Well, good job, Menelaus. Not only did your city burn to the ground because you ran from it, but then you killed an entire another city.
Several other cities. There was like 5 or 6 that just got like, yeah, it's a whole thing. Bud. Good job, buddy. Both parties ended up escaping.
So he didn't even do it. He didn't even succeed.
Nope.
No.
Nope. And
how are you gonna fight? Come on.
Yeah, you can. They beat each other to torpor during, I think it is like the 1812?
We'll get there probably.
There's so much shit in the Brujah script. I do not do the wild and wacky adventures of Menelaus and Helena, but it gets insane.
We could do a bonus episode.
We could, because there's a whole plot point where Menelaus goes, "Fuck this shit. I want to be on my own." So he builds a boat and travels to the Americas way before Columbus, and is just like hanging out with indigenous folks. And then fucking Helena shows up with Cortez, and he's like, "God damn it, you bitch! I fucking Christ,
I was doing fine.
I was over here minding my own business, and then you're fucking hot ass. I'm going to kill you."
I love that they have the most love-hate relationship.
Not a lot of love, mostly hate.
No, yeah.
Mostly hate.
Hold on. For some reason, I thought I remembered them being like a thing for a time.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Because I had to read so much other shit.
Get in the comments if they were a thing.
Guys, I read like 38 books for this episode. And 4 academic.
Is that why your head's so big?
No, my head's big because I'm puffy because of my autoimmune disorders.
Oh, okay. Well, okay.
I have a genetic condition. How dare you?
I thought it was because your brain was swelling from all the bits you've been reading.
Probably. No, that's why I have like the stress vein over here. So, over the course of Roman rule and into the Dark Ages, the clan was held in high regard as a high clan, despite their lack of a power base. So, all the other clans throughout this time had some sort of country or city-state that they're just like, this is my area. So, like, the Venture had Rome, and the Tartar ended up having France, and Giovanni had Sicily, and yada, 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 yada. And the Brujah never really, like, had a settled, like, this is where the Brujah hang out. They're just kind of, like, scattered all over the place.
Yeah.
But because of their maintained Greek schools of thought about, having a strong mind and a strong body and generally being mentors and counselors and whatever the fuck, everybody was just kind of like, yeah, you guys fucked up, but you're cool. So we're just kind of like letting you vibe. Some within the clan worked their way into the church to push for scribes and monasteries. And some of them worked within the church systems to copy and share text across Europe, North Africa, and the Near East.
Oh, man, think about how great celerity would be for all those copying down of films.
Just writing so fast.
Yeah, oof, nice.
So fast.
Nice.
I'm going to doodle so many snails in the margins. That is such an oddly specific history joke, and if you chuckled at that, nerd. Snails jousting in the margins.
God damn it.
Anywho. Some Brujah, a portion of them enough, settled in the Carpathian and Balkans areas. There's some civilizational issues, and some of them ended up going into the Central Asian area and working with the Mongols.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is kind of neat.
Go Mongols. I mean, they did a lot of bad stuff, but also cool.
Like many societies, the good things and terrible things.
Yeah.
Good food.
Yeah.
Very good food.
Dude, Mongolian beef slaps. The Hue, that band, slaps.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we're going to be going to the Carpathian Mountains, the Transylvania areas, for a portion of our history lessons. So the political strife for the Brujah being stuck between the Ventru in Western Europe and then the Zamitzi, also in the mountains and the Balkans and that area, cause a lot of strife and problems because the Brujah are just like, man, I just want to like sit and just chill and do things, and both sides are like, no, I'm in charge, because either I'm in charge or I'm literally the mountain that you're trying to put.
This is my mountain. I don't know if you knew that.
So fuck off.
Yeah.
So because of those things, this kicked off many years of rebellion headed by Brujah leaders. One particular one that gets noted is Dominic in Transylvania, and a lot of this happened between the 10th and 13th centuries.
So he'd been going for a while.
Yeah, just being like, the war princes bullshit and just using us as cannon fodder, this bullshit, blah, 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 blah. We deserve respect. And the elders are like, no.
Why?
You're a sellsword at best. Fuck off.
Here's a coin. Now get your sword.
Yes. And it kind of snowballed from there. The movement built upon itself as younger vampires seeking their own rebellions and forming their own anti-clans began to get popular.
Anti-clans.
Anti-tribu, if you will.
Interesting.
So, more formalized factions with fellow Zamitzi, Nosferatu, Gangrel, and Rogue Ventru began to build up in the Hungary area as well, like the country Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And then spread into Western Europe from there, thus becoming the first Anarch revolts.
All right.
Yeah. So the Sabbat kind of the Brujah's fault. Kind of the Brujah's fault a little bit.
I mean,
just a scotch.
Makes sense.
I mean, they had good intentions.
Yeah,
they did have.
That's a lot of the Brujahs. Like, man, they
tried.
They have such good intentions, and then either somebody comes along and kicks their sandcastle down, and they have big feelings about it, or their own big feelings get in the way, and they're just like, God damn it. Fucking, I just ADHD'd too hard.
I can kind of feel that in some ways. There have been totally times that I've, like, arted, and then just been like, man, fuck this! And just ruined the art.
Yeah. you get frustrated because you can't get this one thing correct, and then you just fuck the whole
you
project.
Never mind. I don't even want it. Just throw it in the trash.
Just a lot of this history for me feels like a lot of a self-read, honestly. And I'm just like, I don't like looking at this mirror, guys. So Convention of Thorns. While the Brujah are blamed for having started what would become of the Sabbat, the clan ultimately, quote-unquote, aligned itself with the formation of the Camarilla. So...
Sounds like they're flip-flopping.
A little bit. So, fun fact about the Convention of Thorns, it was Brujah elders that captured and ransomed 7 Banu Hakim elders during this. And as part of the exchange to return the hostages, the Banu Hakim had to submit themselves to the curse from the Tremere as a whole.
Damn.
Yeah, so whoopsie poodle.
Yeah.
On top of, I'll get into more of the fuckery that the Western vampires did to the Banu Hakim when we do that episode, because holy shit. Talk about fucking people over with a treaty. Not that we have any idea what that's like.
When we talked about...
Unfortunately, we're kind of professionals.
Mm-hmm.
When we talked about putting them in the second group because they need a lot of history to understand what's happening with them.
Mm-hmm. This is parts of it. And also... they exist in a part of the world that has a lot of culture that a lot of Westerners don't fully understand, so we have to give a lot of like context, and that requires a lot of effort. And bleh. We're getting there. Anyways, we don't have time for that. We have time for this, which is while the Anarch movement was never truly quashed out by the Convention of Thorns, the Convention's proclamation basically puts Anarchs as basically part of the Camarilla in all but name.
Which is funny in modern nights.
Yeah, it becomes a full circle. It's kind of like an aristocrats joke. Like, it takes a long time to get there, but when you get to it, oh boy.
Yeah.
So, the other fun note with the Brujah specifically, Patricia of Bolingbroke, a Brujah who was a peasant rebel during the Wat Tyler uprisings, which is like a really cool bit of history if you ever want to look into that shit. And then was embraced by, in vampire lore, Robin Hood. Robin Hood was an actual person.
And a vampire.
He became a vampire. Embraced Patricia of Bolingbroke and had continued fighting for other kind of like peasant and underling rights through the Anarch revolts. She showed up in the line a little bit before the Convention of Thorns, because she was the one that diablerized Hardstadt the Elder.
Ha! Ha
In
ha!
1394 in Spain.
Ha 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 ha!
She knocked his hat off his head and just...
And bit him
Yeah.
to death.
to death.
To super death.
So the reason why she was at the Convention of Thorns is because she wanted to finish the job. Because remember, Hardstadt the Younger picked up the hat and put it on his head and went, I'm Hardstadt.
I'm Hardstadt now.
And he was at the convention because, you know, they're forming the Camarilla, and so therefore you need the biggest, dickest venture to be like, I stand for the clan and society. Brr, brr, brr. I'm Hardstadt. Look at my hat.
Right. It says it right here.
Yeah, and fucking Patricia over here is like, Patty over here is like, I ate him. That's not
I
hard.
was there for it.
I should have taken that fucking hat. I'm here to get that hat. And also, fuck the king.
Yeah.
You know, so that kind of shit. Unfortunately, failed at her attempt to diablerize Hardstadt 2, Electric Boogaloo. But she pops up later in the timeline, so keep that in your noggin for later. So then, yes, the Brujah works as a high clan within the Camarilla still. Yada, yada, yada. During the Age of Discovery, so we're jumping in the timeline a fair bit, a fuckload of Brujah become pirates and explorers, because they're just like, I'm tired of being stuck in this area where I can't do anything, and every time I try to do things, people tell me it's a bad idea. Fuck it, I'm gonna get on this boat.
So Brujah and Lasombra pirates.
Yes.
I really want to see the Brujah ship versus the Lasombra ship.
Who's captaining what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, you know, Brujah and Lasombra hand in hand, just yo-hoing. Honestly, kind of
Do you think they made fleets work together? Do you think they, like, had pirate battles?
Like, for funsies?
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's
man.
like, I mean, none of them are going to die if they sink to the bottom, right?
Yeah, just keep fighting under the water. But only so far, because if you get too much pressure, the vampire will pop.
That's true. And that is final death.
But you know, just
well,
one.
I guess if they're...
Yeah.
Never mind.
Yeah, if you pop,
No
yeah, that's final
No
death.
fortitude.
Technically, no, but you could get it if neither side gives a fuck, and you either work with somebody to learn fortitude or you diablerize your way to getting fortitude. You can do it.
And then just get the fortitude to just go fight at the bottom of the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
There is 2 vampires that have been down in the Marianas Trench for like 12 centuries who've just been feeding off like weird goo monsters that live down there for their blood.
Right, it's fantastic. I also just... You ever get so angry you punch shadows and it actually works? Which is kind of fantastic. I'm too angry to die and I can punch the ethereal. I kind of love that. But also in that vein of European exploration causing problems. Those Sabbat-leading Brujah settled into Mexico and then traveled north through what would become the United States and Canada. I say Sabbat-leaning because, you know, Sabbat went to Mexico and went, I like it here, sit. And had it for ages. It's really interesting, cool parts of lore. We don't have time for that right now. We'll get to it. The Brujah, being the Brujah, had tons of various ways that all of them interacted with things. It just tended to be the more Sabbat-leaning Brujah kind of jumped at the opportunity to cross the ocean first, and then other ones came across. So some Brujah clung to cities along the eastern seaboards and were just like, I'm gonna do things here. I like this. Society is cool. Some of them went out into the frontiers to explore things because fuck the man. I can do what I want on my own. I'm a big tough guy. I could I'll punch a bear.
Done it before, I'll do it again.
What's this weird thing? A moose punch. Just not giving just the most flannel wearing people ever. Some went to go spur on the American Revolution in colonies.
Ouch.
It's interesting how the books parsed that because they write specifically about specific well-known canon NPCs. Like Critias, working with Benjamin Franklin specifically.
Okay.
Like on invention, like they were invention buddies. But then the book also says, the Klan really didn't have an effect on the revolution. And I'm like, you specifically wrote about Brujah anarchs working with Thomas Jefferson.
That's kind of a thing.
That's kind of a direct
Maybe it was
involvement.
Maybe it was just him suggesting, you know, to tie that key to the kite. And that's the big
Critias and Benjamin Franklin both flying kites at night.
Yeah.
Their kites cross.
I feel like that might be a multiple chefs in the kitchen situation.
Yeah, so it's kind of a weird... The language on that is wonky, where it's like, yeah, the Klan as a whole isn't united on any particular thought outside of somebody attacked one of my own. We all turn in lockstep to be like, no, fuck you.
Yeah.
Which is a big Brujah thing, honestly, that I probably should have mentioned in the other episode and I totally spaced on it.
Ted? You punched Ted.
Yeah. Ted's mine. Ted's my friend.
I'm gonna beat the shit out of him. And
I
so
punched
is
Ted.
Gary, and so is Frank, and so is other Ted.
Yeah, our crew punches Ted. You don't get to punch Ted. Yeah, so, yeah, there's Brujah in the United States is being like, revolution, woo. Every man is free and deserves rights, not those ones.
Yeah.
Which is, that's its own can of worms. We'll get to it at some point. We do have plans to talk about some of that stuff, but we don't have time right now. There's some Brujah who stayed in Europe and continued to get like funding for various other revolutions, starting revolutions over in Europe. We're not going to talk about the guillotines right now. That's its own. The attack on like the French monarchy within vampire lore is really cool, but there's so much shit happening. And I don't have time for all that right now. What is kind of a fun note, continuing the Brujah and Ventrue fighting, is the Ventrue who had situated themselves in Britain at this point, because Britain was clearly going to be the big seat of power, you know, empire spanning the world thing.
Right.
The Ventrue in Britain didn't see the American Revolution as a big deal. So they apparently just didn't really put any backing into helping the mortals control that situation at all. And then they're like, oh shit, the colonists left? What? Fuck. Like complete mismanagement.
Which sounds like a Ventrue.
That does. They're just like, oh, this is
beneath me.
The peasants?
Who cares?
I have a corporation. I'm trying to run with boats and get spices. I don't give a fuck about this. Oh shit,
where'd they go?
They fucked off with all the trees. Fuck.
All the trees.
Fuck. So, while revolutions and major shifts were affecting Europe over the various decades and centuries or whatnot of the various tumbling piles of revolutions and overthrows and whatever in Europe, the Brujah basically had kind of free run over the United States for a period of time because the European vampires were like too busy and also didn't want to get on a boat and move.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which is fair. That was until the other clans saw that, hey, the United States is going to be kind of a powerhouse and it's kind of neat and has this economy thing. This is ours now. Like, literally, like, Ventrue and Toreador specifically, investors would move from Europe, invest into places on the eastern seaboard, and then just push the Brujah out and just be like, this is mine now.
I mean, it sounds pretty accurate.
Yeah.
This goes along with the Brujah's complete inability to organize themselves.
Yeah, because they're just like, I'm just doing my thing. Fuck.
Yeah, I guess if, like, Brujah actually organized, then they'd be a force.
That tends to be the theme, is like when they do organize, a lot of shit gets done very quickly, but because they don't stay consistently organized, you have these long stretches of history where they just get fucked with, and then they're just like, I'm done! And then a bunch of shit happens.
And then they become almost complacent again.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the second seat in London we talked about in the first episode, where all of a sudden they're just like, you fucked up so bad that the entire clan will kill you if you do this again. All right, bye.
Yeah. It's like, you have to fuck around really hard to get all of the entirety of Brujah to be like, fuck these 6 fish in particular. But yeah, so with the push of the gentry to vampire sorts into the United States and pushing the Brujah out, it kind of also pushed them into a lower social class and ended up pushing a lot of Brujah into just getting the Anarch label, whether they wanted it or not, or whether they were actually doing that or not.
Huh.
And also just pushing them westward, just being like, get the fuck out, just stop that. This is ours now. You did get some kind of interesting alliances during the American Civil War. Which I thought was kind of neat. So a lot of younger Ventrue and Brujah aligned with various agents of the Sabbat to push out the Southern Camarilla gentry from their powerhouses and plantations.
All right.
So that's one of those, like, Gimli Legolas moments where they're just like, I didn't think I'd be fighting with an elf. Fighting with a friend? And it's like, sure. But fuck this shit. And I'm like, cool, good.
Yeah.
Slavery's bad. We should stop that.
I agree.
Good. And good. Yeah. So continuing with the 1800s being a time with a lot of revolutionary thoughts and new ideas like socialism, Marxism, Darwinism, science, all sorts of things. Science. Anytime there's a thing going around with that kind of bullshit, there will be Brujah there. There's so many of them. I'm not going to sit here and list them all out because Jesus fucking Christ. Don't have that kind of time.
There's a new idea. There's some nerdy Brujah who are real into it.
Yeah. Just like, you guys do new ideas?
I'm in. I am so
fuck the system. Everything is terrible.
Or that meme about the dog.
What?
I stand up. My dog. Hell yeah, brother, I'm in.
Yeah, literally. It's so great. So, one thing I will focus on, because I find this to be kind of an interesting lore note, and we're getting into other countries and stuff, was the Russian Revolution and the Brujah Council. Because it was one of the few times that a bunch of Brujah tried to organize, and it didn't go well. But, that's okay. As is the story of Brujah. So, Russia, up until the revolution, which was the 1917 area, was mostly run by Venture Toreadors, Mitzi, and Nosferatu. Tend to all kind of split various parts of Russia. As the communists were building up, a lot of communist Brujah, shockingly, popped up. Russian Revolution happens, gets rid of the Tsar. The organizations are taking over the government. There's a lot of steps and a lot of intrigue. I'm not going to get into all that right now. We don't have time. But the communist Brujah realized, oh, hey, we're in charge now. Fuck, we need to organize so these other asshats don't come back and take their shit. Fuck. So they make the Brujah Council so that they can all work together. And the way it's structured is really interesting because everybody who is a Brujah communist has a place to speak and work at the Brujah Council, regardless of where your position is actually within, the power structure. Which I was like, neat, good idea, guys. Good start. What ended up happening was there was a lot of struggles between the genuine believers in communism fighting amongst themselves on different ways to actually structure the government and society, let alone how they're going to handle things on the vampiric side. And then a bunch of selfish vampire assholes also just taking power positions because that's what vampires do. So you have a three-side fight constantly happening. So the council, while organized enough to try and maintain their power base, was not able to maintain that structure because of all the fucking infighting. Mm-hmm. I have no idea what that's like. So when Stalin came in and was just like, Trotsky, Lenin, fuck off, do not want Bolsheviks, we got this now. Look at me, my cool mustache. Ignore the gulags and all the pogroms mustache that I'm doing and the Roma murders. Mustache. I'm Uncle Joe. Look at me, I'm cool. When the Stalinists came in, several Venture Toreador and Nosferatu used that as a power structure chance to kind of edge their way back on into their previous positions. And during that time, several members of the Brujah Council discovered that several of the gulags that Stalin had set up were being used by the Black Hand as feeding grounds. Oh. And they went, oh shit, that's bad. Yeah. We should not do that, and we gotta kick Stalin out. And we had all these conspiracies to push out Stalin and reestablish a more egalitarian communist structure. And then a Hitler happened. Yeah, and then all of the Brujah went, well, we don't like Hitler.
Let's deal with that first.
Yeah, so they were okay with having Stalin sign the treaty initially to be like, hey, so Russia and Nazi Germany, we're gonna not fight, right? We're gonna be chill. Cool. And then Hitler was like, I know I said I was going to be chill. Turns out I am not at all chill. I have none.
I have my fingers crossed.
I was... Turns out I'm very sneaky and I lied. So that happened. And then, all of the Brujah Council went, fuck this guy. Because, they don't like authoritarianism and all that bullshit. And so Russia threw everything at fighting Hitler, and big chunk of the reason why the Nazis were defeated. Yay! World War II history. Woohoo!
Good job, Brujah.
I'm not saying that there aren't Brujah that were Nazis.
I'm sure there were.
I'm certain 100% there were.
They change. Doesn't specifically say what kind.
Yeah. So there were probably a bunch of angry German Brujah that were Nazis, and there were probably a bunch of angry German Brujah that were like, fuck this, and then got geeked. Yeah. By the Nazis. So
I know we mentioned both, and we haven't really talked about in the show too, so I did want to note that the Black Hand that they found that were feeding off the gulags are different than the true Black Hand that the true Brujah were members of. Yeah. They are actually, I'm not going to history, but they're basically the two warring main bodies behind the Sabbat is the easiest, quick way. Yeah. Essentially, they're both the ones trying to pull the Sabbat strings, but they also hate each other. Yeah. It's
and the Black Hand tends to be most of the Sabbat, but not really. It's when I described that Russian stacking egg cup in the first episode where it's a sect within a sect within a sect for the Talmira. Yeah, this is that middle one that doesn't have quite as cute of a dress. Because I found with the Russian egg cups, the outside one super cute, some of the middle ones you're just what the fuck happened, and then the smallest one adorable. Why? I have no idea.
Those dimensions right.
I know. It gets a little. Yeah. So, shockingly, the amount of resources and effort that went into defeating Nazi Germany during World War II fucked Russia up severely, and it never really fully recovered from that.
I think that's just history.
Yeah, it is. That is true, but the same thing happened with the political structure for the vampires.
Oh.
As well, so basically the Brujah Council barely struggled and kind of flounderingly up until the 90s. When Nosferatu Methuselah Baba Yaga woke the fuck up and went, I don't like this. So over the course of 8 nights, she ate the remaining members of the Brujah Council from the inside out.
From the inside out is wild. I read that ahead of it, and I was trying to figure out how that would even work.
No one knows, but what they found left of them, they're just like, this was not a outside-in job. This was an inside-out job.
What
Baba Yaga is so
mean?
scary. She somehow traveled to the inside of their bodies and ate them from the inside out.
Like diablerized them.
Potentially. Or just ate them to final
Nick
death.
them.
Yeah, kind of.
That Organivore?
Organivore.
Basically just fed on them, but took
Yeah.
the chunks.
Yeah.
It's very just like... Baba Yaga is a cool NPC character. I'm kind of... also terrifying, and I'm kind of glad that I'm like 90% sure she's dead in the canon. But holy fuck.
It's one of those things where it's left up to your interpretation because she died, but then you read parts of V5 and you're like...
Is she dead,
Are they talking about... They're talking about that bitch, though.
They're talking about that bitch, though. I don't... Chicken feet.
Shadowy figure with chicken feet in Russia.
No. Oh, God. If she's in a pestle boat. She's in a mortar and pestle boat. We're fucked.
We're running.
Oh, no. I don't know if I can run, because she can eat us from the inside.
From the inside.
Yeah. Pro tip I'm taking away from V5 so far. If you end up in the world of darkness, stay away from Eastern Europe right now.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be...
Just stay away from life.
Stay away from life! Yeah, but yeah, Eastern Europe in particular, very just like, buddy.
There's
a
lot of people there you don't want to be near as a human or a vampire.
Yeah, so that was the Eastern Bloc's attempt at Brujah trying to organize. It did not end well. Then there was also the second Anarch Revolts. So, 1944, Prince Don Sebastian Juan Dominguez of Clan Toreador was the Prince of L.A. Having a good time. Yada yada. Great
Doing
time.
his thing.
Yep. Supposedly had his underlings beat the Brujah Jeremy MacNeil, M-A-C. He's not Irish, he is Scottish. I'll be very bitchy about this. But yeah, they basically had him beat to nearly final death for being a particularly unruly Brujah. Jeremy MacNeil has a long history of doing Anarch Revolty stuff. So when he wandered into LA, the prince was like, no, I don't want this. Do not. But the prince's sire was also there, and the prince's sire thought MacNeil was hot and was like, don't kill him. And he's like, what if I just have him beat nearly to death to like get the point across and get him to leave? Though there is records that instead of having his underlings beat MacNeil to almost final death, the prince actually used Dominate to force MacNeil to slam his head into the stone floor repeatedly for the court's amusement. And that's actually what happened.
Wow.
That's like way worse. That's so much worse.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Especially because it's a Brujah beating himself up. You ever get so mad you beat yourself up? And by you get mad, I mean... a voice in your head outside of your will and control. Dominate is the worst power.
It's
gross. Super gross. So the Anarchs in LA were not happy about this Anarch icon getting the shit kicked out of them for literally no reason.
Yeah.
So to try and quell the upsettiness, Prince Sebastian decided that he would allow the local elders to, after the fact, do an investigation to prove that he had made the right choice. To be like, oh, okay, the community's upset. What if we let the community leaders just go over what the evidence is and see if they can justify what I've done? Yada, yada, yada. And the Anarchs are like, well, there is a Brujah among the elders, so hopefully, like, we'll get everything will be chill. It was not chill. Shockingly, the elders saw nothing wrong with this decision, and in fact, charged MacNeil with conspiracy against the prince.
Oh my god.
For just being... Yeah, that does not at all mirror tactics that happen in the U.S. at all. Constantly. Oh my god. Shockingly, this did not go over well with the local Anarchs.
I wonder why.
The Anarchs in LA at this time not only outnumbered the Camarilla, they actually had organized.
Whoa.
What? So within a few nights of rioting, Prince Sebastian and his underlings were dead.
Nice.
The elders that were in the city and that were part of the investigation had either fled, went into hiding, or joined the anarchs. It's just, whoa, I'm one of you guys.
As you do.
As you do. That did not quell the rioting. These revolts continued along the California coast for 3 years, sparing and basically stopping up to San Francisco, which if you know how South LA and like San Diego is, it's literally like right where the American-Mexican border is. So like half of California just went, fuck this.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, like Sacramento, big chunks of the state. And California is huge for those who don't live in the U.S. and don't know how big our country is. It's a fucking big area.
It's big.
Big.
LA is the size of some small countries.
Yes.
He tall.
Large.
Does this timeline, my history isn't great, does this line up with about the time of the LA riots?
No, that's in the 90s.
I thought this said this was in the 90s.
No, this is 1944.
Oh, 44, yeah. Sorry.
There were things like the Zoot Suit riots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which is like an actual thing, but that was more people in the Latin community trying to stand up for their rights to exist in spaces during the World War II timeline. And then white cops being like, we don't like that your pants are huge and that you're brown. That's weird.
Them large pants. I don't like it.
Yeah. Well, at the war time, they were saying that the use of the fabric was going against, like, supporting the troops and da-da-da, but I also just was like, that's a thinly veiled excuse to, like, beat up brown people, but okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The use of pinstripe fabric is not supporting the troops?
Well, it's because there was, like, a lot of fabric. And there was rationing, was the thought.
They're rationing the pinstripe fabric for the
You're not
troops?
wrong. You're not wrong. I'm just...
Okay.
trying to give all the context for what was said, acknowledging it was dumb as fuck. Anywho. So, the anarchs...
I just want to see, like...
Yes.
I just want to see 1940s American soldiers running around in pinstripe camouflage. Because, we had to ration it.
Could you imagine being so short on fabric you have to use like pinstripe suit fabric to make like parachutes and shit?
Exactly.
And I'm like, no, that's what the dye lines were for. That's why women were drawing using markers to draw like fake pantyhose lines on the back of their legs like psychos. And because God forbid a leg be out. Anyways, so the anarchs formed the Anarch Free States by doing their big rebellion thing. By popular demand of the anarchs, McNeil was placed as a leader, but he worked really hard to be like, I'm not a prince. No. One of many Brujah, where everyone's like, do the thing, and he's like, fuck, hold on.
I don't want to.
I don't want this, fuck. So he established a council made up of other city leaders along with Nosferatu, Gangrel, and Ravenous leadership, and ran the whole thing under democratic principles of, like, voting and egalitarian kind of shit. Sounds cool.
Good job, dude.
Despite these efforts, the Anarch Free States split up into petty baronies that often warred with each other.
God damn it.
I know.
I always feel like every time you say something good in these podcasts, I should wait for like
the shoe
5
drop.
sentences, probably.
I know. I try to be like, hey guys, a cool thing, and then the bad.
Yeah.
I know. So, over the next half a century plus, it's just McNeil and the other leaders that are just like, stop fighting, please stop.
I feel like it's like,
please stop.
You take a bunch of cats and put them in a room.
Yeah.
And the cats are like, this is my room. And the other cats are like, actually, I don't know if you knew this, but it's my room.
Mm-hmm.
And they get shitty with each other.
And then there's...
And then they start pissing everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's Brujah.
Yeah.
They piss everywhere.
Yeah, and during all of that time, attempts to further spread the Anarch Free States were kind of stymied by the Ventrue and Giovanni stronghold that is Las Vegas and Reno. So the movement couldn't move further east. And then if they tried to move north, there's a fuckload of lupines that are just like, all vampires must die. And they're just like, fuck, we can't go north.
Never mind.
And then if they tried to go south, there was a bunch of the Sabat from Mexico City and Tijuana and all that kind of shit. So they're just kind of like sandwiched in this little box that they can't like expand from. And then they're also internally like fighting and they're getting pressures from the outside force. It's just like...
It's a mess.
It's a mess. So adding to the mess, in 1998, the Brujah Baron of San Diego declared herself Prince Tara Kearney.
Pardon me?
Yes. She said that she had done this due to the needs arising from having to combat the Sabat coming from Tijuana and the Kwai Jin immigrating from Southeast Asia and basically like invading the Anarch Free States. But there is a lot of plotline and lore stuff involving the Kwai Jin invading the United States and doing their own bullshit. That will be handled later, because there's some implications and a lot of weird, like, Asian phobia bullshit that's tied in with that kind of shit, and I'm just like, I cannot cover that right now.
I think we've changed our policy. We joked about it in the early episodes. We are open to covering that, but that's going to be like we need time to cover all that shit properly.
Yeah. because there are some interesting cultural note things, but there's also a lot of problematic shit, and we don't want to accidentally add to things being racist for no reason.
Like, yay.
Because, yeah, fuck that.
Like, best case for V5, they bring them back as a singular clan who just has some cool, like, Wuxia-based powers and pretend like they're not an entire secret separate race of vampires.
Yeah.
That's probably their best bet there, but...
Maybe?
I'm not super...
I don't know.
I always avoided those books because the premise in itself is confusing.
It's... A lot of that stuff is based on a lot of Southeast Asian mythos and animism and that kind of stuff, and without that context, a lot of it just comes off as people in the West doing an Orientalism weird fetishization thing, and I don't want to weeb otaku my way through a bullshit thing when I don't have to, and I could actually understand things, so I'm gonna not.
Yeah, and a lot of those books didn't give that context. It's kind of like, for those who've played Bloodlines, that entire last chapter of that game just, like, does not explain itself, and it feels really weird.
Yeah,
and
it kind of comes out of left field where you're just like, why are we just having this vague block of Pan-Asian people show up and just try to, like, fight the entire city? That's crazy. That would have been part of what is called the New Promise Mandarate, which is also part of a, like, let's not fall into the late 90s, early 2000s weird techno fear of, like, Japan coming in, or China coming and taking over the economy, and weird continuing dislike of Southeast Asian people because we've been afraid of them invading and being a menace to Western, like, I'm not going to cover that right now. I'm acknowledging it and moving on. So blah. Yeah. So yeah, Prince Tira broke up San Diego from the Anarch Free States, and then there's other fuckery happening, and it's just not a good time in the late 90s. The struggles of the Anarch Free States can be played out in the Bloodlines game, like we mentioned, and you can see portions of it in the LA by Night series.
All right.
So if you want some canonical updates on things, the spoiler warning I am giving for LA by Night right now. Feel free to hit the skip ahead a few seconds button, but I think it's an interesting lore for the Anarch Free State and the Brujah involvement and things. Prince Tara was punished for her betrayal on the orders of Baron Isaac Abrams of Hollywood. She was captured and held prisoner by Jasper in a cage in his haven. And later on in the plot of that game, she is believed to be dead and is a box of dust that Prince Vannevar has.
Damn.
So, yeah, if you fuck around, sometimes you find out.
Yep.
Hooray.
Damn.
So, current V5 canon, we have made it now. Ha 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 ha.
Here we
are, once again, with the third Anarch Revolt. Starting with...
They just don't stop.
Third time's the charm.
Third time seems to be the charm in this series. So, we have the Conclave of Prague in 2012, which is leads to everybody's favorite things. So, the Conclave of Prague, as we have stated before, is a gathering of high-ranking Camarilla members that was calling to decide what to be done about the Second Inquisition, because the Anarchs and the younger folks were blaming the Camarilla specifically and the Elders for meddling with the governments too much for their own petty bullshit, and that's how the government found out that there are vampires and now have government budgets to hunt vampires with the government.
That they've been part of?
Yeah. And then the Camarilla and the Elders were like, Anarchs are too loose with their phones. Bitches be typing.
Literally old people.
Literally old people just being like, well, if you didn't tweet so much, we wouldn't be breaking the masquerade. They wouldn't have found us. And it's just like...
You and your avocado toast.
Yeah. Yeah. During this meeting, Theo Bell, famed Archon...
Okay, sorry.
spearheaded the attack against the Ventru, blowing off Hardstadt's head with a dragon shotgun round.
Yes.
And then there was a big fight. Jan Petersen also was decimated, and I'm also like, good, because he was really gross. He was really gross. You could listen to the Ventru episode to understand why he was gross. I believe I do talk about that in there. If not, I'm sorry. His predator type is super fucked up. You can find it. It is canon.
Wait, what is it? I forget.
Rape victims.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah! It's super... yeah! As a Ventru, that being your preference, yeah. When they say you can pick any preference for your Ventru preference, they literally meant it. And sometimes I'm like, guys, maybe don't.
Ew.
Yeah. And him being the face of the Ventru book, I'm just like,
Ew.
I'm glad that the authors went, we're just gonna get rid of this guy. And I'm like, good!
Yeah.
Because he's fucked up.
Yeah.
Don't want it. Anywho.
Make yourself a bad guy, but I don't think you have to go quite
yeah. So, as the dust settled after this barrage of assaults and attacks and whatnot, the Brujah, as an entire clan, took their skateboards and went to home. They're just like, we're not part of this anymore.
Fuck
this. No. In retaliation, quote-unquote anarchs, and this includes anyone directly involved with the movement, as well as all Thin Bloods, Caitiff, Autarchus, and anyone below the 14th generation, are seen as enemies of the Camarilla.
Making bad moves, guys.
Damn, I know, right?
My brain, now, who are the Autarchs? Those are just the ones who are completely independent.
Yeah, they're just like, I just want to vibe, man. I just got my thing. I'm not taking part in the sectarian violence. I don't care about the generational I'm doing my thing.
Leave me be.
Yes. The Ventru most specifically called for a war against the Anarchs because they were, their dad got his hat blown off in his head, and they're very upsetty spaghetti to the point that not only are they specifically Ventru have a vendetta against all Anarchs, they even went to the point of changing their iconography to include the gladius as well as the scepter.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, guys, they changed their branding. That's how mad they are. So
I wonder if if anybody at that, any of the other Brujah that might have been in the room, when Hardstadt's hat hit the floor, somebody was just like, and that's for Carthage!
Probably.
And then they leave? Because, somebody had to.
Somebody. Who knows? But just fucking... I fully acknowledge that Theo Bell, the way he's written, has some problematic elements, and we're hoping to discuss that more thoroughly later. We have some plans. It's kind of cool, but just this dude just rolling up and just like Ash from Evil Dead cocking a shotgun and then just poof. It's so satisfying. Ugh, I love it. So, with the Anarchs and the Camarilla fighting as they have been, there was an attempt at the Second Conclave of Prague in 2021. So this is the most recent, big lore thing in regards to this. The meeting was an attempt to settle the conflict between the Anarchs and the Camarilla since the first conclave.
Went so well.
Yeah, so there were some Brujah leadership there organizing things on behalf of the Anarchs, and then there's some Ventru and other Camarilla people. They just really need to stop meeting in Prague. That's all I've learned. Stop meeting in Prague. This meeting did not go well because the event was attacked by Entity, aka ESOG, which is the Vatican branch of the Second Inquisition that incorporates the Society of Saint Leopold.
Those are the dudes that are like what's his face from Helsing?
Yeah, Father Anderson.
Yeah, fucking wild ass mutant type.
Yeah, they got crazy relics. They got tech, and here's the bad part: a lot of these agents are part of the crew that has been destroyed and has been shelling out the Prime Chantry in Vienna. So who knows whatever extra bullshit
they might just have in their pockets.
Ooh, boy, yeah. Those in the Camarilla that survived this attack called for an open blood hunt on all Anarchs in the city, including the Anarch leadership of the Brujah Sasha Esser, who's working on behalf of Tyler. This is some lore in the game for VTM Blood Hunt. I would love to look at this more specifically, but apparently you can't just exist in that game space and just do lore hunting. And I'm like, guys, I don't want to drop 20 plus hours into a character to get them built up enough that I don't get knifed when I'm trying to go across the map because I'm trying to learn lore stuff.
Yeah.
That sucks. Yeah. That's not fun for me.
Yeah, you gotta get someone to get a free cam program, run it on your computer and mess around, but...
Yeah, I'll have to fuck with that later. But with the blood hunt in Prague, the Anarchs in turn took this act of aggression because they're like, we didn't send the Second Inquisition. Why did you decide?
Why would we do that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So they have responded in kind by reacting more openly aggressive with Camarilla, and this just made all of the tensions exponentially worse.
Of course.
Yay.
So that's where we are now in the timeline.
Thanks.
Yay!
Guys.
So,
gals.
And non-binary pals. So, major leaders, because there's no Justicar, because the Brujah does not exist in the Camarilla.
Yes.
We have Theo Bell, who is a major Anarch figurehead, even though he's I don't want to run things. And he was also known for his many decades and years of service within the Camarilla. If you want more details on that, there's Beckett's Jihad Diary, tons of shit. He's the guy on the cover of the Brujah Revised with the shotgun and looking like a badass. Mm-hmm. That guy, Theo.
The first vampire comic series, not Winter's Teeth, but the one they did in the 90s is all about him, basically.
Yeah, there's a bunch of really cool shit. Also does have some problematic elements, unfortunately, dealing with being a black man in the United States. As I said, we have plans to discuss that later, so we're going to put a pin in that for now.
Boop.
Boop. There's also Salvador Garcia, who's a figurehead of the Anarch movement. He wrote Status Perfectus along with MacNeil, and this is the document that founded the Anarch Free States.
Good job,
is cool.
Guys. That's a good thing.
He travels around spreading theory and tactics and has much disdained by the Camarilla because every time he shows up, he teaches the Anarchs how to Anarch, and then they're like, fuck! This
They know how to do this now.
Stop teaching them things! Stop it! He has a lore
Why'd you
sheet.
look at me specifically?
I didn't mean
You
to.
just looked at me and waggled.
You just
at me.
waggled.
Stop teaching.
Stop
me.
teaching people things. He has a lore sheet. It's really nifty. Check it out. There's also Nines Rodriguez, seen as a successor to MacNeil in LA, because MacNeil might be dead, might be in torpor.
We're not sure.
I hope he's not dead, because he's like one of my favorite NPCs. But that's me showing some bias. Anywho, Nines has a desire for equality and compassion that really sets him apart from other vampires. He's really chill as fuck. He can be seen in the Bloodlines game and is also portrayed in LA by Night.
Yeah,
Nice.
He's like one of the first people you see in Bloodlines.
Mm-hmm.
You know who he is if you played the game.
Yeah, he's chill as fuck. And then for those who watch actual plays, there's Annabelle Lee, who's a very young Anarch in the LA by Night series. He's very idealistic, makes a lot of weird choices. Also in LA by Night, that's another big name that people would know. Lore sheets that are clan specific. There is Descendant of Tyler. Tyler was the name taken up by Patricia of Bolingbroke after she escaped her manipulation and control by Helena in the early 1900s. And she is a hero amongst the Brujah as, somebody who is like a freedom fighter and has never backed down on her ideals, yada, 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 yada. Cool as fuck character, honestly. Yeah. Badass. You can follow her path in instigating rebellions by being a descendant of her bloodline with this cool lore sheet. And then there's the Descendant of Menelae. This ancient Brujah, he was there for Carthage. He is old as fuck. Has sought to rebuild Carthage several times, and he keeps feuding with Helena to difficulties and comedic effects. Just, could you imagine these two in, 1800s frontier pioneer clothing punching each other into mutual torpor? Because that's what happened.
Hell yeah.
Because it's just funny to imagine them in yieldy pioneer clothes doing this.
Yes.
Because it makes it exponentially less cool. Because you're like, if they're fighting in togas, it's kind of badass.
Yeah.
In, knightly clothing.
The weird hats that
Yeah, fighting in, fist fighting in, Elizabethan attire. Kind of badass. Punching pioneers. While I love the alliteration, dorky as fuck.
I want to know how did they pull that 1 in a million boxing thing where they both just hit each other on the chin at the exact same time and they just knock each other out at the same time? That's how they torpored? Or was it one person is already in torpor, the other person is rousing their blood to continue just beating them, and then they fall into torpor?
Both are funny.
Right?
Hard to tell.
Hard to tell. But according to the lore, Menelae had been beckoned to the east, and his childer Critias felt his connection with his sire snap, so there's a good chance that Menelae is actually dead.
Whoops.
Whoopsie poodle. But his bloodline lives on. You can continue his legacy or forge a new path. There is also a cult based on his vision that has a lore sheet, but it is not clan specific, but I felt like I had to mention it. So, we got it. We got through the Brujah. Brujah Christmas.
We got
through the Brujah. Brujah Christmas.
And I didn't even break either of the bottles that are next to me.
I'm glad, because we're in a room with carpet.
And I have dog.
Mm-hmm.
He's not allowed in here.
That's true.
That doesn't stop him.
So I can break
He's
it.
ungovernable. No! So, how do we feel now we've gone through the history, the who's, the whats?
I like them a lot more. I would put them in the same category as Toreador, where I never really dug too deeply into them because the sales pitch was not the most interesting to me. But I think their history is really badass.
Yeah, I'd agree. They have some cool history. They're not as... While they have some problematic elements, I will say good job, Brujah, for being one of the lesser problematic clans we've covered.
Generally, yeah. They did do a lot of destruction in the Transylvania area with their rebellions, and their problematics come in the fact that it's just they're so aggressive when they do things, and you're just you didn't need to throw your bussy that hard into it, but fuck, okay.
You can just turn the doorknob. You don't have to kick it in.
But it's cool if I kick it in. But I can. I have potence. Look at me.
If I can, why shouldn't I?
Just kick in every door. Fuck doorknobs.
I feel like...
Doorknobs are a tool of the oppressor.
I feel like
every door, I'm sorry, Hunter, every door in a Brujah's house is the swinging bat doors of a saloon.
Continue on, Hunter. Sorry.
I was just going to say, it seems like, now that we're through the base clans, it seems like every clan is either, like, pretty fucked up and evil, or, like, kind of pathetic. Like...
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, the Tortor are just real sad.
Like, you got the Nosferatu, the Malkavians, the Gangrel, and the Brujah who are, like, really trying. And then everyone else, and they're like, well, they did this genocide, and this conquest, and...
I'm burdened with glorious purpose. I'm like, I wish you weren't. I really wish you weren't,
It'd be
my
really
guy.
neat if you just didn't.
I think...
If you just, like, did 80% instead of 110, I feel like everything would be a lot more chill.
Still be a problem, but...
It's funny because looking at the clans we have left, it looks like we have some of the most evil, some of the most pathetic, and some of the most, and at least one clan that's going to kind of break that, I believe. So
yeah, I'm just like, I'm going to have to do so much reading, you guys. Also, thank you for dealing with my overly deep introspection on Carthage, but it's like, it's such a big pivotal thing, not only in the lore of the Vampire the Masquerade, it's also such a big historical moment and such a cultural, like, base touchstone for just how we exist in the Western culture and things also in the Middle East and Near East, and understanding problems that we exist with today in our current society traces all the way back to this motherfucking place.
Right.
And just how much of everything would have changed if things were Carthage-based instead of Rome-based is fucking wild to think about. You're just like, what? Just the tumbling wheels of just how much of history would have changed if that battle had gone differently. It's just like, what the fuck? So I went down rabbit holes, but I was trying to avoid the usual history bro fucking rabbit holes you get into with, like, the Phoenician Wars. Because I'm just like, every man thinks about the Roman Empire. And I'm like, they don't, motherfucker. And there's also other things involved in society other than war. Fuckers. And also, if you're going to be accusing people of doing fucked up things, you need to have some fucking evidence to back that shit up. And also, science is cool, and anthropology is really cool.
I like...
All of those things are true.
Yeah.
Science-prothology.
I just thought that you had such a large part of the Carthage because, you know, you're very Brujah. And
I am.
That is one of the only things that Brujah sires teach their children, is how to properly pronounce that word.
Well, also, it's so important to the clan that there are multiple lore sheets that directly tie into that singular event. Like, the only other clan that we haven't really talked about yet, but I think that goes back to, like, a singular event that hard is, like, Ravnos for reasons.
Yeah. Yeah. Reasons.
Just some of them.
Maybe,
the reasons for the seasons.
Maybe Salubri.
Oh,
but there's
very just one event kind of.
They're also so vague in V5, even compared to old editions. There's like nothing on them, so that's going to be a hard. I feel like that episode's going to be hard just because it's like
it's going to be Sarah's going to have to buy some really expensive Dark Ages books. That's what's going to happen.
That might be a good intro to Dark Ages clan when we get to them.
Oh god.
See, that's the thing is every one of these is going to like spark episodes that have to go with it. Like if we do Ravnos, we're going to have to do Week of Nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
If we do Salubri, we're going to have to do Dark Ages.
Wait, why do we have to cover the Week of Nightmares?
No, we'll find out.
I prefer that over the Racial Slur book, but we're also going to have to talk about the Racial Slur book.
That's true.
Are we? Is that?
Yeah.
They are tied to Ravnos, aren't they?
Kind of.
It's wonky.
I'm
pretty sure they're also tied to Tzimisce.
Well, they're tied to every clan. That's the problem. That book is... It's really weird. I'm not saying it's not racist, but when people hear that, oh, there's this really bad book with this name, people have assumptions, and some of that's in there, but they also come off as like the true good guys of the world of darkness.
Yeah,
it's a bizarre book.
It's weird. It's been a hot minute since I've read that book, but my vague recollections of that book in particular, it does unfortunately make the Roma people slide into the American cinema trope of the magical Negro sometimes. And it's a little weird, but we can get into that when we cover that.
Yeah, there's also, I think, a misunderstanding there from Americans who, because American culture has always been transient, when you have a group like that, like the Roma people, when Americans see that, they're like, oh, that's fucking badass.
They're like,
they
oh,
don't understand that that's like bad. It's why like festival girls use it, and like, because you got to think of how many American icons, like truckers, the people who settled the country and wagon trained west,
pioneers,
cowboys. Like, we've always been a very bands in modern time. Like, we've always been very pro transient cultures. Like, everyone's like, that's just cool.
Well, it's also
bikers,
biker gangs, migrant workers,
train hoppers.
It's very common in the States for people to just fucking pick up and just move their entire life because of a job.
Yeah. So like, we as a society can't fathom seeing something like that and be like, they must be evil, or they must be
moving
bad.
They're doing something wrong, and we're all just like,
and so that's why American culture has such a weird grasp, especially in like the 90s, on that kind of thing, because to them they're like, oh, those guys are badass. They're like,
yeah. And there's also a lot of festival and like whimsigoth bullshit, and there's also just a lot of Orientalism involved in that kind of. It's a whole thing. We're rambling. I'm so sorry. Brujah Christmas.
Brujah Christmas.
Tis the season.
Crimbo. What you need to do is have a rant where you invite the Merry Loud to do a rap battle and give you a beer.
Yes, do it. But wait, do you have to beat the Merry Loud?
Yeah.
In the rap battle?
Yeah, if you beat the Merry Loud in the rap battle, you get a beer.
Otherwise,
you give it a beer, or you have to fight it inside.
Can I just give it a beer? Like,
no, you gotta do the rap battle.
I have to do the.
Can I just invite it inside?
I don't know. I'm too Caucasian for that.
Well, it's like, it could be a poetry thing. It's just funnier to say rap battle, but it could just be a prose like poetry thing.
Is it gonna rap back?
Yes.
How does it do with its mind?
It has a mouth.
Right, but horses don't have the correct like.
Horses also don't wear holly wreaths, nor have ghostly appearance.
Puts them on them.
Horses also don't give out beer.
What about the Budweiser horses do all that?
Boom.
Oh, shit.
Got your ass.
Thwarted by capitalism yet again.
As usual.
Speaking of being thwarted by capitalism, Paralyze is a band that is cool and you should give money to.
So that they
won't thwart you, though. But
no, capitalism is trying to thwart them.
Yes.
Which is why you should give them money on Bandcamp if you can, or give them a listen and a like and a share. Hell yeah.
Also, we have stuff that does the same kind of thing. They're going to go through it here in a minute, because I already put away my thing that'll tell me what it is.
Yeah, that's fair. We do exist on the social medias. We're trying to get off Twitter. It's a nightmare hell space, and we hate it. But we do have the Instagram at Blank Bodies Pod, and then we have the Twitter at Blank Bodies Podcast. We are trying to set up, and do more things to engage with the community, so keep an eye out on those things. We do technically have a Tumblr, but we don't really use it.
I don't understand Tumblr. I tried, and then the only advice I was given was I need to role play with other people more, and I was like, I don't know if I have time for this.
Yeah. But we're on Blue Sky, and we're slowly trying to build that up. Is it just Blank Bodies Blue Sky Network?
Yep, we got it.
Sick. We do exist on the Patreon. If you want to give us a couple of dollar dues, different amounts of dollar dues get you extra goodies from us in return as a thank you.
5, 10, 25.
Yeah.
100.
The 100 was
blood.
Do not buy that unless, you can afford it. Please, dear God. We'd rather have lots of smaller regular donations because, people should buy food and shit.
Yeah. Food's important.
Any tier, you get a bonus episode that I write each month. You also get a Discord title for our free Discord that you should join and come hang out and participate in community.
Yeah.
Just like the Brujah would want.
Yes.
Aww. I would say there are times that there are rants on our...
There are rants. There are rants. There are raves.
I love shoving people.
Hell yes.
Ow, my tattoo.
Oh, shit. Wait, that's the wrong spot.
No, he's got one on both sides.
Way up here.
I'm just messing with him.
Oh, okay. But yeah.
I apologize. How dare you?
Cool community things that we got going on. And as we said at the beginning and reiterating at the end, if you donate to our Patreon during the month of December, we thank you for helping us donate to a good and charitable cause.
Yeah.
That will help people that are dealing with bullshit they shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Doctors who have no borders.
Yeah, they just show up and do cool helping people things.
They bring a staff with some snakes around it.
No, like these are actual doctors bringing bags of saline and life-saving skills to war zones and things.
About their medical symbol.
Oh, that, yeah. Yeah, I thought you meant like a stick.
That too, maybe.
And I was like, no, they're not doing, oh God, what the fuck is that?
Southern Baptists? No.
Yes, but no. What is the fake medicine thing where they're just like, if you put less amount of the problem into the thing, it becomes more potent? Homeopathy. Homeopathy's bullshit. Yeah, so not that. Actual medicine with skilled, trained doctors that care about other people. And we're also working on wrapping up and getting some more extra show notes and resource goodies to the patrons as part of Crimbo. Crimblo, Mayor Chrysler.
And Hanukkah.
And the Kwanzaa, the New Year's, Hogmanay. Hogmanay is like my favorite. It's like New Year's, except you set shit on fire. Which is dope.
I'm in.
There's a Seinfeld one. There's
Festivus.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of cultures that do all sorts of things around the solstice because the human brain go, ook, the stars are doing things. Neat.
I mean,
and it's also cold as balls. Let's party.
And we need something to make us not want to die.
Yeah, because most monkeys, humans, ape peoples are like, I like the sun.
Yeah, it kind of provides one of the most important vitamins for our bodies.
Vitamin D's nuts.
Hey! Okay, goodbye. I'm leaving.
Yep, see ya. Bitch juice.
I still have bitch juice.